A few of the Newcastle players have taken inspiration by bringing their kids out with them. Miggy Almiron's clearly the youngest little baby in his arms as he shakes hands with the opposition. Lewis Dunk at the forefront of them, and he sends his mascot to shake hands with the officials. I think he will lead his team once again admirably tonight, and we expect Brighton to be right in this game, and it should be a cracker. Very quickly, a quick mention for Kieran Trippier, Mickey, because he was named on the Premier League's Player of the Year list, 7 players on that, and he has led his club with great leadership skills this season.
He's been absolutely fantastic. There was a question mark of when he first came to the club, what was going to happen with Newcastle, but he's absolutely loving his timing. I think he's played or been involved in every single game that Newcastle have played this season, so testament to him, he deserves everything that's coming his way.
We're ready to go here on Talksport. Remember, Talksport app for Peterborough versus Sheffield Wednesday in League One, Talksport 2 for West Ham's trip to Alkmaar in the Europa Conference League semi-final. But here, new life breathed into the heart of Newcastle. Their football team was going nowhere. Maybe now it's going to the Champions League, and who knows what's to come in the seasons beyond. Brighton's journey has lasted a little bit longer, no less remarkable, heading towards a place in Europe for the first time in their history and playing some scintillating football on the way. They will take a big step towards it with a win tonight, but as we've mentioned, a crucial fixture for both Newcastle United and Brighton. It is live and exclusive for you right here on Talksport with the former Sunderland defender Mickey Gray and Talksport Sam Matterface.
Evening, everyone. Well, this might be composed by Mark Knopfler, but the song that was written by Tony Britton 31 years ago, the iconic Champions League anthem, hasn't been played at St James's Park for 2 decades. The lyrics of that celebrated theme, borrowed heavily from the work of Handel and reminiscent of one of his coronation anthems that you might have heard recently, state in its lyrics, it is the greatest teams, the main event, it is for the champions. 72 points, that's what Newcastle need to guarantee a place in the main event. That is 2 wins from 3 games, and then those stirring strains will be heard here again. This Thursday night, they have to overcome Brighton, who are playing on a Thursday and a Sunday this week, and they want to get used to it. After their takedown of Arsenal, leaving the Gunners' title tilt in ruins, can they now leave Newcastle humming a cheerful tune of their own? We are underway live on Talksport with Newcastle in black and white stripes and black shorts and socks attacking the goal away to our left-hand side, and all in orange, Brighton attacking the goal away to our right, the Gallagate end. And immediately Joe Willett wins the ball back and then travels down the left touchline for Newcastle United, who have Joel Linton playing out on the near touchline, and Guimaraes in the centre tonight. He started Joel Linton as a number 6 in the game against Leeds United. I'll run through the 2 11s for you after we've heard from Talksport's Mickey Gray, who is not the world's most popular man whenever he comes to Newcastle. How did Brighton make themselves similarly unpopular with Newcastle fans tonight?
Thank you for that, Sam. Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. I mean, look, it's a special place to come, St James's Park, right now, and it's very difficult for any side. But I think Brighton themselves have to get themselves on the front foot, albeit they've had a bit of a shaky start to this opening couple of minutes of the game. But if they can do that, you have to try and silence this crowd. It's very difficult to do, but the only way you do that is by playing well.
Nicky's only unpopular because he knows that Hawaii is spelt differently down the road. Here is Almiron over on the far side. It's picked up and played square into Isaac, and then it's taken out towards the near touchline by Moises Caicedo, and it's out and away for a throw-in on this near side. In fact, it's going to be a free kick deep inside Brighton territory. So here are the 2 teams then, starting with the home side, unchanged from their last game against Leeds United. Pope in goal, Trippier, Schär, Botman and Byrne for Newcastle, Bruno, Guimaraes, Joel Linton and Willock, Almiron, Wilson and Isaac up top. For Brighton and Hove Albion, it's Jason Steele in goal, Van Heck, who comes in to replace Webster in the defence alongside Duncan Estepinian. Here's Undab charging forward at the other end, getting to the edge of the box, blocked by Schär. The ball breaks to the left-hand side, Almiron with a tackle, turns it into the midfield, and Newcastle have it back again in the right full-back position. I'll get through the Brighton team in just a second, but it's a real fast start to the game, a good tempo to it in the opening couple of minutes. We've played 2 of them live on Talksport. So yes, stealing goal, Van Heck, Dunk and Estepinian. I think Caicedo is playing as the right fullback with Gilmour and Gross in the centre, Matoma on the left, and then Undav and Buonanotte behind Welbeck in attack. Buonanotte getting back to try and help out on this near side, the right, trying to stop Isaac from travelling down the touchline. It's out for a throw-in. Yeah,
well, you're completely right, Sam. It is Caicedo over in this right back position because he needs to pick up Isaac to try and stop him from running and picking up that ball.
May even be a back four that Brighton are playing today. Ball played out towards this near side, and has helped out into the path of Welbeck, but he misses it, and it goes out on the near side and away for a throw into Newcastle United. It is a lively encounter here at St James's Park, and a lively atmosphere too. And Van Heck is tussling and pulling and not getting much joy out of Joel Linton. He's probably gone a little bit too far there with his pulling and shoving of Joel Linton just inside the Brighton half of the field. Jean-Paul Van Heck, who you would have seen at Blackburn last year, was Player of the Year there.
Yes, went on loan there last season. Sam did really well coming into the starting 11. I think his last start was in January. So this is a big game for him, Premier League I'm talking about anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't play too often, that's for sure. But he's unbeaten in all 9 appearances for Brighton. And this is only his 5th Premier League appearance. And it's only his 2nd Premier League start. And he's got a big job tonight as Byrne comes down the left-hand side, gets into the left corner of the field. The offside flag is up against him, and it goes behind and away for a corner kick, or a goal kick away to our left-hand side. And Jason Steele will get things restarted again. It's Newcastle 0, Brighton 0. We've played 4 minutes. You're listening to Talksport. It's quite light grey clouds above our head here in Newcastle tonight. The floodlights already on. And these two teams who have had outstanding seasons. Brighton just beaten Arsenal on their own patch, and it wasn't long ago that Arsenal came to Newcastle and won here. Football doesn't really work like that, but make no mistake about it, this will be the toughest assignment that Newcastle will face between now and the end of the season, Mickey.
Oh, without a doubt. And I have to say, Sam, 4 minutes into the game, 4.5 minutes into the game, both sides are at it.
Wilson onto Joel Linton, who's just left of the D, attacking the goal away to our left. Onto Isaac, who comes in right-footed, bends the ball with serious movement towards the far stick. It goes one way then the other and weaves its way well past Jason Steele's goal in the end. But it looked like a wicked spin on the ball, which was swerving in mid-flight, which may have caught out the goalkeeper had it been on target.
Just got a little bit too much on it. I think he tried to get a little bit too much pace on that shot there, Isaac. But what a test that's going to be, Sam. A lot of speculation about Caicedo maybe leaving the club in the summer. And that's a big test for him, having Isak over on this left-hand side. Let's see how good he really is in a 1v1 situation. I
don't think it's certain yet, but I think it's pretty sure that he'll be moving on to pastures new. Alexis McAllister is another one of those who may well be moving on. He's not in the starting lineup today, which was a bit of an eyebrow raiser. Given away by Billy Gilmour. Willock picks it up. Left side is Isaac. He's about halfway inside Brighton territory. It's returned to Willock down the left-hand side by Guimaraes. Into the box it comes. Almiron to shoot. It's blocked by Van Heck and goes behind all the way for the first corner of the game. Miguel Almiron, whose goal-scoring boots from the first half of the season haven't really been sandwiched onto his feet again after coming back from injury. He never looked confident when he struck that, but he has won his team a corner.
Well, it's just a fantastic move, isn't it? I think they're all on the same page. The Newcastle players, they work it really well down the left-hand side, and as that ball comes in across that 6-yard area, 2 or 3 Newcastle players waiting. It eventually falls to Almiron. And I think it was Van Heck with the last challenge. Didn't really know too much about it. 6 minutes gone. Newcastle 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. Corner on the far side in front of the Leeds' end. Punched away by Jason Steele, who's been touted as a possible England contender. And he was fouled as he tried to get that punch away. And he's been given a free kick on the edge of his 6-yard box away to our left-hand side. Newcastle, who come into this game knowing that they already have more points than at any other Premier League season for 20 years. But to throw away a top 4 place now would feel negligent. Brighton with Sunday's thrashing of Arsenal fresh in their mind. It's added a sudden bout of nerves across Tyneside. The week before, Brighton were picked apart by Everton in a lacklustre display.
Ball cleared by Dunk up the middle of the pitch, and it's Newcastle who have started with a little bit more dominance. Usually it's Brighton who dominate possession, but so far it's Newcastle have had almost exclusive rights to the ball, Mickey.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit more vigour to Newcastle's game. You can see they want to get on the front foot as quick as they possibly can. Here's that test again.
Yeah, Caicedo slips over a couple of times when faced up by Isak, and he's got the return ball by Willock. He allows it to go through his legs down the left channel, pulls it into the near post, steered behind by Van Heck, comes back onto the pitch somehow, and then is cleared away by Van Heck for a second time, and eventually a free kick is given against Undav, who's coming back, the German, and he's made a foul on Bruno Guimaraes, and this is a really good start from Newcastle. At the moment, Brighton look a little bit dazed.
Yeah, they're a little bit shocked. I mean, I don't know if the occasion, which it shouldn't really, whether the occasion's getting to them a little bit, but we talk about that 1v1 test for Caicedo. Well, he's losing the battle at the moment with Alexander Isak. He started the game absolutely on fire. What a chance this is for the likes of Kieran Trippier from about 25 yards out. Dead ball situation. Can you imagine if this hits the back of the net, Sam? This stadium will erupt.
I tell you what, it's so noisy in here, you can hardly hear yourself think. It is absolutely cacophonous inside this famous old cathedral, St James's Park. They played loads of big hits prior to the start of the game. Stepping up to hit it is Fabian Schär. It was a big hit, and he can hit him from that sort of range, 30 yards from goal. He drives the shot into the arms of Jason Steele. He can always plunder an effort from that sort of area of the field, but Steele watched it all the way and did very well to stop it. He's played the ball out from the back and given it straight though to Willock, and it's picked up now by Bruno Guimaraes, edge of the D. He turns it out to Almiron. Almiron on the right, wide right position, is immediately smothered by Brighton jersey. The return comes to Almiron again, he pulls it back in towards Willock. It's tucked behind, and it goes out for a goal kick. But they are putting the pressure on in the early stages here, Newcastle United, and Brighton have got to be careful not to wilt in the heat of the white-hot atmosphere inside this stadium. It's very similar to the start that Newcastle made, Nicky, against Arsenal the other week.
Well, the equivalent to it, Sam, was, I was going to say, if you watched Manchester City against Real Madrid last night, albeit, look, it's a different competition, they just couldn't get out their own half, Real Madrid, and that's what Brighton are finding really difficult now. And I think sometimes, look, they've done it all season, they overplay at times when you just need to give yourself a little bit of a breather, maybe play a long ball to stretch the pitch a little bit, but Newcastle, they're on it.
And they've won another foul, Newcastle, just right of the centre circle. Fabian Schär was knocked to the floor by Undav, and it's going to be a free kick to Newcastle. And it might need to just settle down for Brighton if they're to get through this period. They've got to ride out this early storm. They've scored more goals than anybody else, Brighton, in the first 15 minutes, but it's the team from the south coast that are under the cosh in the early exchanges here. 0-0 the score, though, on Talksport in the Premier League. Trippier forward towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Steele comes and claims again. It's another good take by Jason Steele. And he comes out, grabs the ball, and will clear it away. Interesting that Jason Steele has done so well for Brighton since February that Robert Sanchez, I think, has almost given up the ghost a little bit. He's decided that he didn't want to sit on the bench against Arsenal on Sunday, and he's not travelled with the well, he's not in the squad tonight, the matchday squad tonight. Be interesting to see what happens to him and whether or not he ends up moving on to pastures new in the summer. Not the first player to fall out with the combustible Roberto De Zerbi, who's standing down in front of us in the technical area, dressed all in black apart from his very bright white trainers.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you want to see a reaction, Sam, from certain individual players, don't you? In this case, Sanchez, the goalkeeper, of when you get left out of the team, is to then say, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you in training. I'm going to fight to try and get my #1 spot back. So it's not the kind of reaction that you want, isn't it? But it's all down to Jason Steele and how he's performed since he came into the team. He's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he's been absolutely terrific, and so terrific, in fact, that he will be considered, I think, for the next England squad. Whether or not he makes it in ahead of Ramsdale, Pope or Pickford is a different matter, but should one of those pick up an injury, I think he's the next cab off the rank. That's a short ball back to him, though, by Wilson. And it's excellent defending by Dunk, because he sensed the danger and just moved his body across Wilson to block off the run towards the edge of the penalty area. And it's that sort of awareness that Dunk has shown over the course of the campaign, which has also linked him with a move to the England squad, or an inclusion to the England squad.
Yeah, back into the squad, and you know, he's had an excellent season. It's a kind of different role for him. I believe, has he touched the ball more, or he's passed the ball more than any other player in the Premier League, Sam, this season, or thereabouts. It's something that he's enjoying, which is great. But if I quickly just go back to Jason Steele, he might have a chance of the England squad because he's better with his feet than Nick Pope, and that's what Gareth Southgate looks for.
We've just seen Nick Pope kick the ball twice, and we've almost caught it twice. We are in the 10th row of the main stand here at St James's Park on the halfway line with the perfect view of the pitch. We can almost smell the aftershave that Eddie Howe is wearing down in front of us. Here is Almiron down the right-hand side, trying to get into the penalty area. Willock, little touchback. Almiron opens up his body and then couldn't get his technique right. Got right underneath it and steered it over the top of the crossbar. And it goes into the Lees' end away to our left-hand side and behind for a goal kick. And he knows that's a big opportunity, the kind of opportunity that he was taking in the first half of the season, Mickey Gray.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously out to the side with a little bit of an injury. And since he came back, he's kind of struggled to find the back of the net. But I talked about that battle on the left-hand side with Isak and Caicedo. Well, it's certainly the similar situation over on the right-hand side with Almiron, with Estupiñán. A little give and go. You've got to stay with your runner. If your player's running away from you, you've got to open your body up and stay with your man. It was an easy opportunity for Almiron. He just needed to keep it a little bit lower, and he would have found the back of the net.
Newcastle a little subdued last week against Leeds United. They're anything but here in the opening 13 and a half minutes live on Talksport. Later on Talksport 2. In fact, in just 16 minutes time we'll be bringing you live commentary of RZ against West Ham United. That's Talksport 2, and the closing stages will be here on Talksport as well, as they look to get to a European final, which we will follow them in. Here is Bruno Guimaraes playing it down the left-hand side into the left channel of the Brighton box, but it's too heavy and not at all accurate from Bruno Guimaraes, and it's picked up by Jason Steele away to our left-hand side.
And for once, Callum Wilson wasn't really on the same page as Guimaraes, because you knew he was going to play that reverse pass, and Wilson was kind of caught a little bit flat-footed, whereas I like to see him playing on the shoulder of a centre-half and using his pace to get it behind. That's where he gets his goals from.
Newcastle have really struggled to find that right blend in midfield without Longstaff in the engine room recently. Joel Linton started the game as a 6 in the match with Leeds. Then Bruno Guimaraes moved into that position when they altered it midway through the first half. His performances haven't been as good since his ankle injury, but the performance as a whole tonight has just been so much better. They've smothered Brighton completely. Brighton haven't got out of their own half.
Well, they're making him make mistakes, and that's a big worry for Brighton, because we all know they like to get the ball down and play at their tempo.
It's a brilliant high press from Eddie Howe's team, isn't it?
Yes, without a doubt. But they're being told that they have to kind of work to the Newcastle's tempo, and if you're not up for that, which is why Brighton players keep giving the ball away, you're going to be defending for a lot of this game.
Oh, Jason Steele manages to Cruyff turn past Almiron, who was placing him under real pressure, and the ball goes out to the left fullback Purvis Estupiñán, and he can't keep it under control. It's away for a throw-in over on the far side, and they are just a little bit anxious here, Brighton. 16 minutes gone, you're listening to Talk Sport. It's 0-0 at this period in time, but it's been dominated by Newcastle United. They need a bit of respite, Brighton. They come up towards halfway, through the centre circle with Gross, who nudges it on to Welbeck, and then further wide to the elegant Mitoma. Back to the edge of the area, right-footed shot, straight into the arms of Nick Pope from Danny Welbeck, and it's patted down by the England international, and he will clear it away. 0-0.
Yeah, it's probably, without a doubt, it's Brighton's best move of the game. Worked the ball really well up to Danny Welbeck, who then got it over to that left-hand side. I'm surprised, actually, Danny Welbeck's not playing through the middle. He's pretty much picking up this right-hand side, trying to get involved in the game as much as he possibly can. But those 4 players of Brighton, certainly with Mitoma on that left-hand side, he's got to use his pace against Kieran Trippier if he gets a 1v1. But
it's almost like a 4-4-2 tonight from Brighton, isn't it? With Caicedo playing as the right back. Then the 2 centre-halves, Van Heck and Dunk. The left-back is Estupiñán. Gross and Gilmour in the centre of midfield, with Bonanotte and Mitoma as the wingers. And then 2 forwards in Undav and Welbeck.
Yeah, it is. But at the moment, Sam, everybody's behind the ball because they're just defending. They can't get out of their own half.
You're listening to Newcastle 0, Brighton 0 on Talksport with Now Sports. Don't forget, with Now Sports you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle versus Brighton live right now for $11.99, no contract. Search Now Sports. Ball thrown in towards Joel Linton, back to goal, right on the edge of the Brighton penalty area. They've squeezed up into the Brighton half again. It's back out wide to Isak, whose long, gangly limbs stride towards the middle of the Brighton half. He's stopped by Gross, who smacks it to halfway, comes back via Share in towards the right channel. Willett keeps it alive, gets past Dunk, and then coming in to nudge the ball behind and out for a corner was Estepinian, and it is a corner to Newcastle United, and that was an emergency challenge from Estepinian, and he had to be very careful about how he applied it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Lovely little ball in between centre half and full back. Callum Wilson will run onto them all day long. Great little flick from him. And Estupiñán, he had to come back, and you're right, it's last-ditch challenges, Sam, to keep this game at 0-0.
RZ Alkmaar against West Ham, 8 o'clock, Talksport 2 on the Talksport app, an exclusive. Sheffield Wednesday trying for a miracle against Posh in the League One playoff semi-final. All the playoffs here on Talksport and Talksport 2 and our app. Here is the corner, delivered to the far post. Dan Burney's up there, heads it against Van Heck. It's out for another corner to Newcastle United. I mean, it is serious pressure that's being applied to that goal away to our left-hand side, and it feels like just a matter of time before Newcastle make the breakthrough.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall are down in front of us now, and they'll be just thinking, we've had so much pressure and so many possession in Brighton's 18-yard area. We've got to try and see it out. We've got to try and get ourselves a lead. And if they can do that, it's going to be so difficult for Brighton.
Fabian Schär just needs a little bit of treatment after having a head injury, so the referees stopped the game, and the taking of the corner kick, which actually probably benefits Brighton more than it benefits anybody else. Has he got a blood injury here? He has, and they're asking him to go off the field of play, but they don't want to take him off the field of play. He's got blood coming from his nose. They're going to try and have to stem that flow, but they're playing with 10 men at the moment as they attack another corner kick away to our left-hand side. Dummett goes out to warm up away to our left. And there's that Matt Target that's gone out there. It might be Dummett, actually. Here is the corner kick taken by Trippier towards the far post. Oh, and it's flapped at by Steele. Did he get any touch on that? I don't think he did. And it goes straight behind and away for a goal kick away to our left. That was a wicked delivery from Kieran Trippier.
What a ball. What a ball from Kieran Trippier. I always find it strange when fullbacks come so far up to take a corner, knowing that if a team breaks on you, one of your defenders is so far up the pitch you can't get back. But when you've got quality like Trippier, you can understand why they do it.
Matoma plays it into Welbeck, who's fouled by Joel Linton, and it's a free kick just short of the centre circle for Brighton inside their own half. You are listening to Talksport, and Jason Tindall is out for the first time into the technical area, and he's become rather well, how should we say it, talked about, let's just put it that way.
He's quite irate for a number 2, isn't he?
Jason Tindall front and centre of everything is the sort of phrase that's been going around recently. He loves it, he absolutely loves it, and he's a brilliant fella, and they worship him here now. He's part of the furniture. They take the mick, and it's all a little bit ironic, but they do absolutely love him, and they love Eddie Howe as well. Eddie Howe was actually asked about Jason Tindall on CBS's morning football show this week, to which he said, he was asked by the anchor Suzanne Collins, do you need to ever say to him, hey listen, remember Jason, I'm the chief around here? And Eddie Howe gave the most bland answer you've ever heard ever, and just told the anchor just how they were a partnership. To which I don't think it was really the answer she was looking for. It's not really the kind of guy that comes out with phrases like that, though, is he, Eddie Howe? He's done a brilliant job here, and the Newcastle fans appreciate him. Over in the far corner, in between the Leesy's end and the stand opposite us, the Jackie Milburn stand, the banner, the black and white banner that says Eddie Howe's Black and White Army is draped from the back wall. He hopes, and they hope, that he will be leading them to Europe next season. Well, he will be going on the European tour no matter what happens, but will it be in the Champions League? That's what they want. 22 gone, Talksport live at St James's Park, and things have just gone in Brighton's favour for a second, but they've given it away cheaply, and Joel Linton's free inside the area. He's turned, his shot is blocked by Dunn, who comes sliding in to prevent the effort from nestling in the corner. Sloppily given away by Van Heck, who looks a bag of nerves at the back. And Joel Linton stole in, had a chance, fired it to the corner, and it was blocked by Lewis Dunk, who saved the day for Brighton.
Well, if Brighton keep making these mistakes, Newcastle are going to punish them. De Zerbi's just in front of us now. He's trying to say to his players just to calm down. They're not really settled into the game as of yet.
Trippier into the near post, it comes off the defender and it's in! Trippier's corner, flicked on by Moises Caicedo into his own net, and there's the goal that's been coming since we kicked off. 23 minutes on the clock. Newcastle United lead by 1-0, and this place can smell the Champions League. A simple corner from the captain Trippier, a wicked delivery, bent in with venom to the near post. It flicked off the head at that near post. I think it was Undav actually who got in front of Caicedo, and it goes straight into the net, past Jason Steele. It's an own goal, and Newcastle lead by 1-0.
Thoroughly deserved lead for Newcastle, and we just touched on that quality from Kieran Trippier. He whips that ball into the near post, and Undav's just basically trying to throw his body and just head it and clear his lines. He can't get out of the way of it. It's the slightest of touches which just takes it away from Jason Steele into the back of the Brighton net. But all that pressure and that quick tempo start from Newcastle has now paid off. Find themselves in front. Just listen to that. What an atmosphere in the stadium now.
You're listening to Talksport. It's Newcastle 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. Live on Talksport from St James's Park. And it's how they maintain this now, isn't it? Because Kieran Trippier immediately got them in a huddle, Mickey Gray, and said to them, hey, guys, concentrate now. This is only part of the job. This is just the beginning. There's still 3/4 of this game to go.
I mean, what do you do, Sam? You know, if Newcastle have started the way that they have in the first 25 minutes of this game, do you rest on your laurels? Do you now start to be a little bit more organised and try and win this game 1-0? But it's a little bit too early for that. I think they've got to go for the jugular, because this Brighton team at the moment, they're shell-shocked. The way that Newcastle have started this game, thoroughly deserve to be in front. And they're the side who are probably looking to try and capitalise and maybe score more goals in this game, because Brighton can't get anywhere near the Newcastle goal.
Free kick to Brighton, just 11 or 12 yards inside opposition territory. It's wide on the right-hand side. It's picked up by Pascal Gross, and Buonanotte standing over it as well. Buonanotte takes a little touch from Gross and then takes a couple of steps forward before left-footed, driving the ball high into the air. It's caught by Nick Pope, who's come a long way to claim that. He does right to the right-hand side of the box, stretches his big arms into the air, and he will kick clear. I sat down with Nick Pope after the Leeds United game on Saturday. He is massive. Yeah. He is absolutely massive. He's huge. He's not only incredibly tall, but he's so broad and muscular as well. And it's one of those where you think, I'll stand up, you sit down. He still looks bigger than me. Isak goes chasing into the corner on the left-hand side. He's given Caicedo a real tough time. And that Undav own goal came after 23 minutes. I think it was one of those that was on the cards since we blew the whistle here at St James's Park. It's been a bright start from the home team, who know that if they manage to win all 3 of their remaining games, they'll be in the Champions League. In fact, they only have to win 2 of them, because 72 points will do the job, and Liverpool can only get 71. Jason Steele plays it towards the right. Van Heck under pressure, plays it to the right back and Caicedo, but again they're struggling to get out. Gross hacks it forward. It's back with interest by Sven Botman, but into the stand, and it's out for a throw-in midway inside the Brighton half of the field. 1-0 to Newcastle United. You're listening to Talksport. 26 minutes gone.
They're just being rushed, Brighton. Every time they're on the ball, there's no options for them to play those midfield passes just to calm the game down a little bit. A split second, it gives Newcastle the opportunity to get themselves on the front foot. They're setting traps for these Brighton players, and these Brighton players basically are not up for it at the moment. They must have been expecting this, Simon. No, they've not started the game yet.
And the Newcastle certainly have, and Wilson just tried to play the ball behind Willock. He knew he didn't get the delivery right, and then Wilson turns to Willock and says, now it's time for you to get back, fella, because we need to make sure we stem any flow coming forward at the other end after losing it on halfway. Brighton have it with Billy Gilmour into Gross into the centre circle. To the left of that is Purvis Estepinian. Gilmour immediately tries to release Karo Matoma, who was a real danger for Arsenal at the weekend, but hasn't been able to get hold of the ball in the opening 27 minutes here tonight. And it's Newcastle who lead by 1-0 on Talksport with Car Finance 24/7. Search Car Finance 24/7 today.
There's no fault of its owner. It just can't get the ball to him over on that left-hand side, and whenever it does go over, Kieran Trippier just seems to be in the perfect position just to sweep things up. His experience, his reading of the situation. And look at De Zerbi in front of us now, so he's not happy. He's seen the start that they've made to this game. He's very frustrated.
Well, he was very frustrated after the Everton game, talking about big matches, consistency, and if they wanted to play in the Europa League next year, then consistency was going to have to be something that they found playing the big matches. Well, they're really good in the big matches against the big boys. Usually, they come out on top more often than not, and Newcastle aren't. But Newcastle have just outwitted them tactically in the opening 28 minutes of this first half, and they've done it by pressing really high up, not allowing Brighton to settle and get their passing game going. They've shut down all the passing lanes, they've smothered the passes out from the back, and as a result of that, Newcastle have spent most of their time in opposition territory. And there's a lot to do for Roberto De Zerbi. Tactically very cute though, and I'm sure he'll come up with a way of changing it, and it is only 1-0.
Well, and I go back to the 4 changes. Are they the kind of changes that you would probably make playing against one of the sides who are fighting for one of the Champions League positions? I think the quality of McAllister's certainly a miss in the first 25 minutes of this game. Somebody with a little bit of guile in that midfield area. And even Ferguson up front, albeit young man, but an outstanding talent. Could he have held the ball up a little bit more?
Almiron's got the better of Purvis Estupiñán. He's charged into the box. He's gone past 2 challenges. He goes past the 3rd, goes down. Referee. Oh no, Dunk has brought someone down on the far side. Callum Wilson has just been nudged to the floor, and the referee has given a free kick the other way. Has he? What's he made here?
Wow. Well, I'm really surprised at this. Lewis Dunk has just stretched out a right leg to try and get the ball away from Callum Wilson, who was going away from the goal. And I think there's a little bit of contact on the ankle here, and I'd be really surprised, Sam, if this doesn't go to VAR. Look, seeing a replay of it now, I mean, does he make any contact with the ball? But there's certainly contact with the player.
Well, it's a penalty, isn't it?
Looks a penalty to me.
Well, VAR is checking for a possible penalty. The VAR tonight is Jared Gillett. Hugh Wozencroft thinks it's a dive, and the referee and the officials agree. Jason Tyndall, you won't be surprised to know, doesn't agree.
Well, I'm really surprised at that,
foul.
Sam, because, look, as a striker, if you feel contact on your ankle in the 18-yard box and there's no contact made with the ball from Lewis Dunk, then I don't understand why that's not being given as a penalty. It's in the 18-yard box, and he's trying to reach out his right foot. Now, if there is contact, I just wonder whether Callum Wilson maybe could have gone towards the referee and made a bit more of it.
I think Bruno Guimaraes has been given a yellow card as well for a foul over on the far side. He's not particularly happy about that either. He's said, that's my first one. Our referee, have you given me a yellow card for that? The referee has decided that is the action that he's going to take. And the officials coming under a little bit of scrutiny here. The 52,000 inside this stadium not particularly happy with the decision not to award a penalty. I even thought that Almiron was clipped as he was travelling into the penalty area as well. The VAR did look at it. Jared Gillett said no clear error, and if you heard Howard Webb on White and Jordan this week, it has to be those clear errors for the VAR to intervene. Here is Caicedo, who's having a torrid time, by the way, at right back. He's played there a couple of times this season. Obviously naturally a midfield player, but he has played as a right back on a couple of occasions. Most notably, actually, I think against Manchester United, and it worked really well for him. It hasn't worked at all so far in this game. They've targeted him.
No, it's certainly not working for him. I think he likes to play further up the field. He likes that physical battle, really. But now, Isak, whenever he gets the ball, just getting that half a yard on him, and he looks a little bit frustrated, Caicedo, as if he's not enjoying playing in that position.
I'm still going back to that Callum Wilson challenge and thinking, well, if it was a dive, which the referee gave a free kick the other way, didn't he? Then he should have booked Callum Wilson, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Here is Isak on the near touchline. Skips his feet delicately through 2 challenges and then guides the ball back to halfway. Newcastle firmly in command and playing with a swagger here at St James's Park tonight, and leading by goal to 0. Oh, Estupiñán's misjudged that, and Almiron's nicked in behind. His fellow South American has run away towards the right. Here's Cher with a low ball through the 6-yard box. It's missed by everybody. Comes right the way through the other side. Isak now picks it up and travels back towards the 18-yard box. He looks up. He's got support from Guimaraes and from Dan Burn on this near side, the left. Back into Guimaraes, who gets a little clip from Buonanotte. Almiron back to Guimaraes, edge of the area, foul. Was he? No, the referee says play on. And again, the Newcastle fans aren't happy about that. It looked more of a dive than it did a foul on that occasion. And it's cleared away by Brighton and up over the halfway line.
He knew what was coming there, Guimaraes. As he was getting in towards the D at the edge of the 18-yard area, you could see he was just waiting for a bit of contact. You could see it was a dive.
Joel Linton takes the ball out of the sky down the left channel after a long raking ball forward, plays it against Van Heck, who gets back for a challenge, and it goes out and away for a corner. The semi-finals of the Europa League have started. It's Bayer Leverkusen 0, Roma 0, 1-0 to Roma on aggregate. Sevilla 0, Juventus 0, 1-1 on aggregate. In the Conference League, it's 0-0 over on Talksport 2 between RZ and West Ham United. West Ham leading by 2-1, and Basel 0, Fiorentina 0. Basel 2-1 up from the first leg. Peterborough 4-0 up from the first leg away at Sheffield Wednesday tonight. 0-0. Any changes will be with Alan Biggs in a flash. That game is live on the Talksport app right now. Download it and your head will explode. There's so much content. Here is Kieran Trippier on the left-hand side, right-footed in towards the near post. It's headed down again, and it's back through the 6-yard box before Dunk can try and head it away. It caused consternation again inside the area. Burn has brought it down. He's shot towards the near corner. He's tickled the outside of the post. He's taken a deflection on the way through, and it's out for a corner kick. Rod Jones, the referee, is now being surrounded by the Brighton players who are saying, "How have you seen a deflection there, fella?"
Yeah, I don't think there was one in the end, but again, it's that quality from Kieran Trippier into the box, just outside the 6-yard area. And Van Heck, it comes towards him. He doesn't know what to do with it. It comes at him that quick. He just heads it down into the ground, and then Dan Burn gets his chance.
There was a deflection, by the way.
Better eyes than me.
Yeah, Rob Jones did well. Trippier towards the far post, headed down by Cher, straight into the arms of Jason Steele, who drops and picks the ball up and then fires it out towards the far side. But he's rushed that. He's tried to get Mitoma out quickly. The idea was right, but because he was doing it at speed, he didn't quite execute it in the manner that he would have liked.
Sam, I think this is the first time, probably said this season about Brighton, they can't live with the tempo. And De Zerbi knows that. The two fullbacks are so isolated. They need help from Mitoma and Danny Welbeck on this right-hand side, because they're getting left in 2v1 situations. Even in a 1v1, they're getting the better of them.
They have the odd game like this. Go back to the Everton match. It was nothing like this, but it was a game where they looked a little bit frazzled, and tonight they've been frazzled by the sheer tempo of this Newcastle performance. But, Mickey, it's worth pointing out, it's only 1-0 to Newcastle United.
Yeah, for sure. Newcastle have had so many opportunities. Fabian Schär, Dan Burn, Almiron with a couple of opportunities, and even Isak with a great chance early on in the game. But they haven't been clinical enough to see out this game. Still that 1-goal deficit, but Newcastle do look like scoring the next goal in the game, but that might change.
They are a force to be reckoned with, and Newcastle United, and so are Brighton, usually on the road. They have the fourth best record on their travels. Only Arsenal, Newcastle and City have better points hauls away from home than Brighton. Free kick. Gross wants to take it 2 yards in from where it was supposed to. She's told not to by the referee, and then Caicedo moves it back out to the touchline. Roberto De Zerbi is trying to issue instructions from the touchline. He's constantly in communication with those up here in the stand. In fact, we've got 3 Brighton analysts sitting in front of us here, all mic'd up with AirPods, talking to the bench down in front of us. And a little bit frustrated, all of them as well. They're getting very animated, just like their manager on the touchline. Jason Tyndall and Eddie Howe standing inside the technical area.
Well, I'd like to know what information, if it is actually getting passed down to the technical area, Sam, to tell them to change things, because I think we can see it from here, but nothing seems to have changed yet.
Gross sends it wide. Buonanotte takes it on for Brighton. They're moving up to the midpoint of the Newcastle half. Back in field it goes to Caicedo. And then a ball centrally for Dunk to stride out through the middle of the pitch, to play it wide to Estepinian. And then on to Mitoma. The Japanese international goes skating into the box. A right-footed shot which is elevated, and it's over the bar. And Nick Pope just gives it a wistful look over the top of the crossbar as it goes behind and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. Newcastle 1, Brighton 0. And for the latest odds, you can head to Ladbrokes, where right now you can get Newcastle to win the game at 5-1 on. The draw is 5-1. The Brighton victory is 12-1. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes. Play at ladbrokes.com, 18+, begambleaware.org. Down. in any other circumstances, I think I would probably be suggesting that those odds were fantastically generous for Brighton. However, on the nature of the very performance that we've seen in front of us, that is about right.
Yeah, it's understandable. And just only seconds ago, Mitoma picking the ball up.
Wilson trying to get the better of Caicedo. The two collide in the left channel. And I think there might be a free kick here for Newcastle United. There's a penalty in the game at Hillsborough. We'll get there in just a second, because if that goes in the favour of Sheffield Wednesday, I'm not even sure who's got the penalty, but if it was a Sheffield Wednesday penalty that was given, and it may well be converted, then that might sprinkle a few nerves for posh fans who have made the journey to Hillsborough tonight. Has Durham gone? Does anyone know? Is he there? I think he is. Let's go there now. Alan Biggs.
Michael Smith with the penalty for Sheffield Wednesday. He's taking it now, right-footed. It's in the bottom corner. The ground erupts. There's only 8 minutes gone here at Hillsborough. Already Sheffield Wednesday have chipped away at this improbable task. 4-0 down, but now on the night, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Peterborough 0. It's 1-4 on aggregate.
Just don't. He won't come to work on Saturday if it gets overturned. Here is Trippier to place the ball down the left-hand side and get the free kick into the centre. Rob Jones just sorting out a bit of messing about between the Brighton and Newcastle players. So the Sheffield Wednesday fight back is on at Hillsborough. That game live on the Talksport app if you want to listen to commentary of it. This is Newcastle 1, Brighton 0. Newcastle with a height advantage, looking to attack this set piece from the left-hand side, right-footed in towards the near post, and Danny Welbeck had to scurry back into the 6-yard box, take charge of that, head it behind. I think an offside flag was up, or was there pushing in the centre? Either way, the free kick has been given. I think there was a push, was there, by some... Dan Burns been penalised. There was so much pushing and shoving. Anyone could have been penalised for handsiness inside that penalty area. It's a free kick to Brighton.
Well, but Danny Welbeck didn't know what was going on behind him, Sam. He had to do his job.
Oh, what are you doing? They've given the ball away inside their own penalty area. It's come back to Jason Steele. But they were playing around inside their 6-yard box. That Newcastle press has been and continues to be so aggressive that it's too dangerous to do that. They put it right on Brighton and Hove Albion. The ball ran loose inside the box, and it was only a lucky ricochet that took it back into the arms of Jason Steele.
Look, you know, there has to be a time and place when you start to play out from the back. I understand it, that managers want to see that because it gives them more options. But when you're man-marked and somebody's standing a yard behind you, you can't play that ball, especially when you find yourself a goal behind in the way that Newcastle have started this game. No, they're trying to look to try and get a foothold in the game. Sometimes, I mean, I'm looking at De Zerbi and they don't even go crazy when the players lose the ball. He just stands there as if he knows it's going to happen at times in the game.
He will go crazy in the dressing room at half-time, and I wouldn't want to be there because he's a fiery character. Here is Willock playing the ball down the left, asking a bit too much of Isaac, and Steele comes out, does a good job to tidy up, but his delivery down the right side was meant for Buonanotte. It just hasn't quite worked for them tonight. They've just looked a little bit off it, Brighton. They can't finish any lower than 9th, but they want the thrill of a European place, the prospect of travelling to far-flung corners of the continent for the first time. They have never been on a European tour before, and they're in a good position in order to secure 6th place. And they've got the benefit, Mickey Gray, even if it's a conference place at the end of the season that they're fighting for, of being able to just hold off Aston Villa because that's their final fixture.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And the game's in hand,
I think they'd want to try and have the job done before they actually get to that game against Aston Villa, Sam, wouldn't you? You know, you want the points on the board. I think every side would say that. And I think this was an opportunity for them, knowing how good they are away from home, but got to get started in the second half or it's not going to happen. This
is one-way traffic at the moment. Trippier forward towards Burn. It's just a little bit too high and it flights behind and goes out for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. And Brighton's game in hand is against Manchester City next Wednesday night. That's live on Talksport. We'll be there for that one. Newcastle's next game is against Leicester City on Monday night. Game night will come from St James's Park. How on earth we're all going to get in here, I don't know. But apparently we are. Here is Undav, who scored the own goal, spraying it out towards the far side. He then gets it back to the right, and Buonanotte, who travels up to the edge of the penalty area. Stretching was Estupiñán. Mitoma takes it on. Offside flag was called for by the Newcastle fans over on the far side. And then it's played against Willock over on the far touchline. Goes out for a throw-in. The Newcastle fans think it should have gone their way. It didn't. And it's tossed back in, and Brighton are on a rare attack. 3 minutes to go before half-time. And Eddie Howe just trying to urge his team not to drop too deep and cut out from the back here. But Buonanotte's got it for Brighton in those bright orange jersey with thick black trim, attacking the Gallagher end. Up to Welbeck, who rides a challenge from Joel Linton, then runs into another one, wins a free kick on the edge of the centre circle. And just right of that centre circle, it's going to be a free kick to Brighton and Hove Albion, who trail here.
Well, I think De Zerbi's thinking in his head now, before we actually go down the tunnel for half-time, that he's possibly going to have to make changes. And the players that have been left out of the starting 11 today will probably see themselves coming on in the second half. McAllister, Ferguson.
Gross takes it down the right side, delivers across towards the far post. It's carried away by Trippier, and then picked up deep inside Newcastle territory by Estupiñán. And they come forward again. Brighton switching the play from the middle out to the right, taken on by Buonanotte. Offside flag is up from Ian Husson, who's the assistant on this near side.
You cannot be offside in that situation. Buonanotte over on this right hand side. You're looking right along the line of Newcastle defence. It's that diagonal pass over to the right hand side. You have to look across that line before that ball is played. It's a great move, and it's a great position for Buonanotte to be in. That's criminal to be offside in that position.
And he's miles offside as well. I mean, he's still a young fella, isn't he? Buonanotte, only 18 years of age. He did score in his first start against Chelsea not so long ago. And Carlos Tevez was his manager at Rosario. He compared him to Lionel Messi. He's got maybe a long way to go before he lives up to those sort of heights, the Argentine, but there's nothing like praise to inflate someone's selling price.
Good luck.
Van Heck onto Caicedo, under pressure from Isaac, and then he plays the ball from the right side of the box to the left side, and then gives it away to Almiron, who sent it back into the 18-yard box. Willock's not going to get there. Well, again, Brighton almost the architects of their own downfall. The crossfield pass from Caicedo to Dunk was difficult. Dunk couldn't get it under control properly and ended up playing a weak pass out wide, which went straight to Miggy Almiron. And if that pass had been a little bit better from Almiron, then Newcastle would have been in again.
I mean, the confidence that Newcastle, Almiron's doing nutmegs in his own half, going back to his own goal, because they played so well in this first half.
But Mitoma has been released down the left-hand side. Botman comes across and slides in and nicks it off his toes. Trippier clears into midfield. It's won by Van Heck. Now Gilmore's got it. We've got 5 seconds before the end of the first half, and then it'll be stoppage time. There's a foul on Guimaraes. It's going to be a free kick deep inside the Brighton attacking third, and it's going to be 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. And it was sensible that from I think it was Kieran Trippier who went down in the end over on the far side. There is a bit of a concern here because Sven Botman has gone down, and there's not too many options at centre-half anymore for Newcastle United on their bench. They've got about 3 left-backs who can play in Lewis, Dummett, Target. Oh, Manquillo can play there as well. So they've got 4 left-backs on the bench today, but they haven't got any centre-halves. I suppose Matt Target could play there into left-back and then put Byrne across, or you could play Dummett as a centre-half.
Well, the biggest lad on the pitch is playing left-back, Sam, so I don't think they'd have a problem if Byrne had to go into that central defence position.
How is it that the former Brighton centre-half is playing left-back when there's 4 left-backs on the bench? Here on the right-hand side, the ball is with Willock. He thinks he's fouled in the right corner of the penalty area. Free kick and a yellow card for Undav. Meanwhile, Joe Linton has gone down just short of the 18-yard box. He's being helped to his feet now. That's a yellow card for the man who scored the own goal. He hasn't had a particularly successful first 45 minutes, Dennis Undav.
No, he hasn't. Gives the goal away, gets himself in the book. He's not got involved in the game at all, along with Mitoma on that left-hand side, being really poor. This is why he's tracking back, trying to help out his defenders, but making a rash challenge as centre-forwards normally do. Again, this gives Newcastle a great opportunity from the corner of the 18-yard box just to whip that ball into the box.
They have a goal threat that is the envy of many. 22 goals scored in April is the highest during that period. They scored twice at Ellen Road without even getting out of first gear, and they've scored once here, an own goal. There's a lot of pushing and shoving going on inside the penalty area again. Rob Jones will want to keep an eye on that. Newcastle don't want to give away a free kick from this scenario. They want to make sure that they make the most of this delivery. Joel Linton is not happy. He's having a few words with Caicedo over the shoulder. Van Heck's getting it as well now. Rob Jones is going to have to cool that temperature down. Joel Linton needs to keep his head. And there's a quick word in the ear to Alexander Isak just to try and get his teammate under control before this free kick comes in. It's literally a step back from the right angle of the penalty area over on the far side in front of the Leesy's end. Newcastle leading by a goal to nil. A goal scored from a Kieran Trippier set piece, an own goal scored just 20 minutes ago. Can they double it? Oh, there was a problem here. Something into the body of Van Heck. It's a yellow card, is it? Who's that for?
Yeah, I think it's Fabian Schär or Botman, just shoved away. I think it's Pascal Gross. He just gives him one in the chin and then does it a second time.
And it's Billy Gilmore who's gone down under pressure from Fabian Schär. He just pushed him off, and then Gilmore was nudged to the floor with a little arm that was used to strong arm him away from his sort of personal space. Rob Jones is issuing a final warning to Fabian Schär, who's picked up a yellow card as a result of that. Reckless approach to trying to attack the free kick. Newcastle don't want to do anything stupid here. Just keep a cool head. Get yourself in at half-time 1-0 if you can't add to that in the next couple of minutes.
Well, Sam, I know
the
free
referee's
kick's
going to blow up again here. He's going to, as soon as this ball goes into the box, he's going to blow the whistle and he's going to give a free kick. Yeah, definitely.
He's got that feel about it, but it's a mismatch at the back stick.
Trippier takes the set piece, right-footed towards the far post, headed down, and it's in from Dan Burn! Unmarked to the far post, the former Brighton player who's come back to his hometown team has put Newcastle United in dreamland, and their thoughts of the promised land are tantalisingly close now, and the hometown boy has risen up at the set piece to convert from Kieran Trippier's delivery. Big Dan Burn has scored a massive goal for Newcastle, who lead against Brighton by 2-0.
Thoroughly deserved. Newcastle deserved to go in at half-time 2 goals up. But just before that free kick was taken, I'm pointing to the back of every Newcastle player because it's Dan Burn who stood alongside Moises Caicedo, and it's a mismatch. There's a 1.5 foot difference between the two players, and I'm thinking, I've seen the quality from Kieran Trippier in this game. If he finds Dan Burn at the back stick, all he's got to do is just direct it towards goal, and it's exactly what happened. It's a brilliant ball in, all the pace is on the cross, and Dan Burn just heads it down into the bottom corner. Steelers got absolutely no chance. But what are Brighton doing, putting Caicedo on Dan Burn in the first place?
That's the end of the first half. Dan Burn, he doesn't score too many goals, but he does big goals. He scored in the quarter-final of the League Cup to take Newcastle through to the semi-finals of that competition. He scored a goal here that may well put Newcastle United on the road to the Champions League. Newcastle have won 11 of the previous 13 Premier League matches in which they've led at half-time, and if they can keep up that trend, they will be able to see that European Champions League firm up on the horizon. They lead thanks to an own goal from Undav and a set-piece converted by Dan Burn at the break by 2-0.
The decibels inside St James's Park have been so high you can barely hear yourself think. In fact, I think that's what affected Brighton in that first half, to be perfectly honest. They barely strung 2 passes together. They've been miles off what we would expect from them in their brilliant best. And in truth, it's the intensity, the tenacity of the home side Newcastle United who are all business tonight, by the way, as they chase a Champions League spot. More aggressive, getting numbers into the box, more cohesive in their defensive structure. They have been absolutely brilliant and more than worthy of a 2-goal lead at the break. In fact, the only question to ask Mickey Gray is really, how hasn't it been more? Because both of the goals have come from set pieces. They kind of struggled to create clear-cut chances, but it hasn't mattered. They have just bullied Brighton at times.
Well, you just touched on the atmosphere in the stadium. They will only react to what they see in front of them and what the players are giving them. Well, they've given them absolutely everything in that first 45 minutes. They've just bamboozled Brighton, who've not been able to come up with the answers, not been able to get out of their own half. The set-piece quality from Kieran Trippier, I've not seen that, what I've seen from him, since the days of David Beckham. Honestly, it's that good. The pace and the positions he puts that ball in the box, whether it's from corners or wide free kicks, is absolutely sensational. And the first one, I mean, Undav's at the front post there. All he can do is just leap as high as he possibly can. It comes off the top of his head and gives Jason Steele absolutely no chance. But the second one, I was pointing. I mean, I know you can't see that on the radio. I'm pointing at Dan Burn at the back stick with Caicedo. There's absolutely no chance. You've just got to find the right position to put the ball in, and Dan Burner's going to win that 10 times out of 10.
The difference in size between these two teams, I was silently miming to you. Look at the difference at the set pieces. It's like parents' evening, to be perfectly honest. Newcastle the parents, Brighton the kids. That is the difference in size at the set pieces between these two teams, and it makes you wonder why Roberto De Zerbi has chosen the team that he's chosen tonight, why he hasn't chosen to change it earlier on. Because I'll be honest, 25-30 minutes into that game, you're thinking next one's coming soon. De Zerbi has to respond, and you were pointing it out. You know, there was no response from that Brighton bench. He wasn't even getting angry at the players losing the ball. So many times trying to pass it out from the goalkeeper at set pieces, and they were even getting tackled in their own box. Never going long, never trying to bypass midfield. Absolutely no semblance of a plan B. It's worked before for Brighton, we understand that, but it is not working tonight here at Newcastle United, and they will need something drastic if they're going to turn this game around. We'll be back with Mickey Gray and Sam Mataface for the second half very, very soon. And to look over, I think, some of the more interesting points that we could have picked up in that first half. Before we move on, there has been another goal in the game at Hillsborough. We'll bring it to you very shortly and find out if Sheffield Wednesday can make it 2. Alan Biggs is watching. Is it 2 for Sheffield Wednesday? Is the comeback on?
It certainly is. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Peterborough 0. Lee Gregory has doubled Sheffield Wednesday's lead on the night. He's halved their aggregate deficit to 4-2, and absolutely the comeback, the incredible comeback is on. It was Patterson's cross shot across the face of goal that was diverted in following an early penalty that Michael Smith converted, his 21st of the season, after Marvin Johnson was tripped running into the area on the left-hand side. We've had a smoke flare thrown from the crowd, which is the reason for a short delay here. You can imagine the excitement in the Hillsborough Stadium. Not that, of course, it forgives illegal activity like that, but there is a short pause, and I think Peterborough could do with that pause. They have posed problems on the break. Kwame Poku in particular forced a save from Dawson, so did Efron Mason-Clark, but Wednesday have thrown everything at it in a high-octane start, and you have to say that at this moment in time, that improbable overhaul of a 4-goal first leg deficit would be the first time in the playoff history is on. 26 minutes gone at Hillsborough. Commentary live on Talksport's app with Adam Bridge and Adrian Clark. Get that on the Talksport app. They're right alongside me with all the excitement here. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Peterborough 0. It now is trimmed to 4-2 to Peterborough on aggregate.
Will it be one of the most remarkable nights in playoff history? Live for you, as Alan said, on the Talksport app. Sheffield Wednesday 2-up against Peterborough after 27 minutes. There are live games, of course, in Europe tonight over on Talksport 2. West Ham United 0. They're away at Alkmaar 0 as well. They do, though, of course, West Ham lead 2-1 from the home leg at the London Stadium. No goals, in fact, in Europe at all tonight. So it is Basel in the Europa Conference League, the other semi-final, who still lead Fiorentina by 2-1. Roma in the Europa League at semi-final second leg. They're away from home at Leverkusen tonight. No goals. Still 1-up from the first leg, and still level between Sevilla and Juventus. 1-1 from their first leg as well. You're listening to Kick-Off on Talksport with Now Sport. Don't forget that with Now Sports you can stream all the Sky Sports action, like Newcastle versus Brighton live tonight. It's £11.99, no contract, just search Now Sports. We've had a remarkable evening so far at St James's Park as Newcastle women are out parading their league title here. No silverware this year for Newcastle, but will they be heading to the Champions League? At the break, Dennis Undov's own goal, a towering Dampern header, is the difference. A Europa League spot possibly slipping away from Brighton. We'll have another engrossing 45 minutes ahead of us here on Talksport. Newcastle United 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 0.
Kick-Off on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Are you in? Let's go. Play at ladbrokes.com. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a treehouse in the garden.
I'm living my perfect childhood.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of June 2022 and 30th of September 2022 is under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Rodri to De Bruyne. Flicked on to Walker. Goal! No one saw that coming.
Or as we say in Japan, no waru wa tsume o kakusu. The smart hawk hides its talents. For taste beyond expected, Asahi Super Dry, official beer partners of Manchester City. Enjoy responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk.
And he's barreled it straight through the midfield into the Village Hotel Pub and Grill fan zone, the home of big screen live football. A long volley over the stadium seats by the giant screens into the left-hand corner of the bar, past a winning lineup of ice-cold beers and a magnificent menu of mouth-watering footy food. Result! Enjoy the perfect big match experience with food, drink and live football at a Village Hotel Pub and Grill fan zone at 33 UK locations. Find your nearest venue and win monthly prizes, including match tickets at villagehotels.com/fanzone. Get in! Conditions apply. 18 plus, always drink responsibly.
Bing bong. Attentions please, attentions please. We got big new news. Just Eat now does grocery delivery. No problemo if you forgot the only thing you went in the shop to buy. Want ice cream for breakfast? Caught the cat licking the butter. So, don't cry over spilt milk. Get it delivered to your door from Just Eat instead. Grocery delivery. We got it.
Did somebody say Just Eat?
Only available from participating stores and selected locations. Product subject to availability. Service charge may apply. See justeat.co.uk for more details.
For all the top Premier League analysis, listen to The Game, the Premier Football podcast from The Times. Every Monday and Thursday, join Hugh Woosencroft and a host of big-name guests for in-depth reaction and opinion on the latest action and the biggest issues in the world of football.
It's a massive goal!
Hear previews of all the upcoming matches and provocative and compelling opinions from some of the finest football writers from The Times and The Sunday Times.
Lovely bit of football!
Listen to The Game on the free Times Radio app or wherever you find your podcasts.
We've got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the trade goes.
At Selco Builders Warehouse, we've got real deals on a wide range of building products. In May, we've got a white painted Velux GGL MK06 centre pivot roof window for £295 ex VAT. And with free delivery, that's a real deal. Find more real deals online at selcobw.com.
We've got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the trade goes.
That charged at 20%. Free delivery within local delivery areas.
This football season, get a hand from Betfair's popular Bet Builder and easily add our fan favourite football selections to your bet slip in just one tap. Spend less time finger faffing and place your bet the easy way. Now that's handy, because we're Betfair.
Exclusive to Betfair Sportsbook. Terms and conditions apply. Please see frequently asked questions on support.betfair.com. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
Game day exclusive on Talksport with a Now Sports membership. Stream the Premier League live without a contract from $11.99. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
Game day. A broadcasting dynamo of supercharged Premier League football coverage.
Tucked into the near post.
Game day kickoff on Talksport.
You're listening to Kickoff live on Talksport with myself, Hugh Wozencroft, live inside St James's Park. A very happy home crowd after a dominant first period. Newcastle United 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, and Newcastle marching on towards a place in the Champions League for next season, unless Roberto De Zerbi can come up with something pretty special in the second half. Let's get the half-time odds with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Are you in? Let's go. Play at ladbrokes.com. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
Nicola McGeady joins us once again. And Nicola, before this game, I said I think it's going to be a classic tonight. In a way, 2-0 to Newcastle at the break has set that up. Do you see any way back for Brighton?
Not really. I'm so jealous you're there. It's great to have, these different teams challenging for top four, and hats off to both of them. Newcastle are deservedly in front tonight. They've totally dominated, and it's hard to see Brighton salvage this. That's reflected in the prices with Newcastle all but the winners. They're short as 1-33. Brighton are a massive 90-1 for any diehard Brighton fans who think they can salvage this. And then we make the draw 20-1. But Newcastle, they're 4-5 to score next. Brighton can be back to 12-5, come out fighting in the second half and score next. But the odds suggest Brighton won't find the net, because we make it 8-13 that both teams don't score. Dan Burn was obviously a big prize to score tonight. He's 40-1 to score next, but it is Callum Wilson. He's the 14-5 favourite to do that.
Nicola, thank you very much. Those were the latest odds with Ladbrokes. You can play at ladbrokes.com. It's 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Are you in? Let's go. Play at ladbrokes.com. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Now, it's been a slow start for Rory McIlroy at the US PGA Championship at Oak Hill. It teed off today. Let's get an update with Talksport's golf correspondent Rupert Bell.
Yeah, but he's responded well, Hugh, because he was at 3 over par as he started his back nine, but holding a big par-saving putt and then 2 successive birdies. He's finished at 1 over par, which, given his rather lacklustre start, he'll feel pretty pleased with. But that's 4 behind the current leaders. 2 in the clubhouse, Scotty Scheffler and Corey Chambers. Bryson DeChambeau, of course, a live golfer and now slimlined. He's playing well at 3 under par. Victor Hovland leading the European Challenge at 2 under par, along with Austrian Sepp Straka, who's just started his round. Callum Tarrant, the leading English player, at 1 under par.
Rupert, thank you very much. We'll have updates on the golf throughout the evening here on Talksport. Just to let you know, the first goal of the night has gone in Europe, and it's gone to Fiorentina against Basel in the Europa Conference League semi-final, and that means that tie is level 2-2 on aggregate and heading to extra time. West Ham, by the way, live for you over on Talksport 2. Still Alkmaar 0, West Ham 0. West Ham leading by 2-1 after the first game at the London Stadium last week. So heading towards a European final. Only 35 minutes on the clock in that one. Remember, you can also listen to what is Sheffield Wednesday 2, Peterborough 0, 35 minutes played, exclusively on the Talksport app. Download the app. You'll be able to move seamlessly between all of our live games. We've got a big 45 minutes coming here. Mickey Gray, former England defender, with me. Because there has to be a response from Roberto De Zerbi. There has to be some kind of change, if not in personnel, in the way that they approach things, because it is just not working for them so far.
Well, you're absolutely right, Hugh. I think they were shell-shocked in that first 45 minutes. They should have expected a huge atmosphere in the stadium. They should have expected Newcastle to be on the front foot, because we've seen some of the performances at St James's Park this season, and they've been breathtaking at times. And they got left stranded a little bit, Brighton. Lack of ideas, but they have to come up with the answers in this second 45 minutes. Look, you cannot wait for this Newcastle team to tire before you start to grow into the game. They've got to make things happen themselves, and they've got to make them happen as soon as that whistle blows for the second half.
Speaking of waiting for this Newcastle team, Brighton are right now, because all 11 players, Brighton in their fluorescent away kit, out on the pitch, and now finally Kieran Trippier leads out the Newcastle players, and this home crowd responds to seeing their players who've been brilliant in this first half. They're expecting much more, plenty of goals, plenty of fun, and Newcastle marching on towards a place in the Champions League. And after the first 45 minutes, you cannot see it going any other way. Will there be a Brighton support response that could possibly kickstart them to a really positive end to the season that would see them finish in a Europa League spot? We haven't seen anything from them as yet. Could it be a big second half with the former Sunderland defender Mickey Gray and Talksport Sam Atterley?
Well, the atmosphere has been terrific all night, hasn't it? Is it going to roar Newcastle United to victory here this evening? They lead by 2-0 in a very one-sided first half. They bossed the game, and they had the equal best defence in the Premier League. The encouragement for Brighton and Hove Albion, well, Newcastle have kept just one clean sheet in the last 15 games, and they have conceded 20 Premier League goals in that time. A team that was mean in the first half of the season have started to leak right at the very end, and that, I'm sure, is what Brighton would have been saying at half-time. Would they make any tactical changes, do you think?
I'm so surprised, Sam, that they haven't made changes. Just as the Brighton 11 came out very early, I'm sure De Zerbi's had a word with his players and said, get out there and prove to me that he deserved to be on the football pitch. But it looks like it's the same system. Caicedo's still playing in that right-back position. There's nothing really going on in the front positions either. But Newcastle are not going to let up. They have got to match them for effort and determination, Brian, or they will come unstuck again.
Caicedo's given the ball away again, and Isak has got in behind him down the left-hand side. This is released by Bruno Guimaraes into the area. Right-footed shot blocked by Van Heck, and it's steered towards halfway. Back to Joel Eaton again. Black and white shirts of Newcastle shooting towards the Gallagate in the second half, where their most vociferous fans are situated. I'll run through the 2-11s for you in just a second. But Newcastle have a throw-in deep inside opposition territory. Live on Talksport, leading by 2-0. The ball thrown in by Trippier. He's looking for a bit of movement. Sheffield Wednesday leading by 2-0 on the Talksport app, by the way. And that's 4-2 now on aggregate. And they're only 40 minutes into that game. Here is Almiron, back heel into Mitoma, who picks it off before Willock can reach it. It's guided back towards the edge of the 18-yard box. They've got to stop this playing out from the back unless they're comfortable with doing so. They've been very comfortable all season doing it, but it's caused Brighton so many problems in that first half. I was speaking to former Brighton player Warren Aspinall at half-time, who was saying they've got to be a little bit more direct, and they've got to get Caicedo out of the right full-back position and into midfield, where they need someone a little bit more muscular, because at the moment the boys in there, little Billy Gilmore and Pascal Gross, just can't cope.
I think you used a word in the first half, Sam, as smothered. That's the way it felt for Brighton. Now they seem to be finding a little bit more space early in the second half.
Estepinian travelling forward up towards the midpoint of the Newcastle half. Down the left is Mitoma, who hasn't been in the game much in the opening half. Billy Gilmore square to Caicedo, and his ball is straight out of play over on the far side. Well, Pope is the Newcastle goalkeeper. Trippier, Scher, Botman and Byrne the back four. Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton and Willock in the midfield three, with Almiron, Wilson and Isak up top. For Brighton, it's Jason Steele in goal, Van Heck, Duncan, Estepinian as the back three, with Caicedo at right back, Gilmore and Gross in the middle, and then Mitoma on the left-hand side, Buonanotte on the right, and Welbeck and Undav up top. 2-0 to Newcastle United. And Trippier fires it forward brilliantly, and Almiron's in behind Estepinian, who's just about got back at him and managed to clear the ball out towards the near touchline. But that was a dangerous ball from Kieran Trippier, which opened up the Newcastle right channel for Almiron to run into, and maybe he should have done a bit better with the ball, Mickey Gray.
Yeah, I mean, his first touch, he just couldn't get his body out the way of it. But again, it's a brilliant ball.
And that's a good ball into Wilson, who's isolated Dunk. His first touch isn't good enough, and Dunk nips in and takes it. And Brighton play out from the back and into midfield. Well, they're not going to sacrifice their principles, Brighton, and you can understand that. They've been playing this way all season. But maybe they need just a little bit more physical presence in midfield, because they've created very few chances in this game, if any. Nick Pope's hardly had anything to do. One stop from distance is about it. And it's been all Newcastle United so far. Raking ball by Scher out towards the far side. Into the air by Caicedo, who's having an absolute western. The ball is out on the left-hand side, picked up by Byrne, who's already scored once. He charges into the box. He gets into a wing position, looking to try and turn under pressure from Buonanotte. It's steered into the box. The header is on towards the back post, and Almiron's hit the goalkeeper. It comes back off Wilson and onto the roof of the net. Well, it's a big miss from Miguel Almiron. It's a good save, but it's a big miss from Miguel Almiron. A game-changing goal which would have put this match to bed. If Almiron had found the net with that, it would have been over. Brilliant header by Willock at the near post, onto Almiron, coming on at the back post, in the 6-yard box, point-blank range. It's a big save by Jason Steele.
I don't understand how Dan Byrne, he's basically on the corner flag, and he gets out when there's no reason for him to get out whatsoever.
Here come Undav, edge of the area at the other end for Brighton, into the box, a right-footed shot under Nick Pope and in. And Brighton, out of nowhere, are back in the game. The Newcastle defenders are claiming an infringement. They think there could have been an offside there. Undav is celebrating after scoring an own goal at one end. He pops the ball in the back of the net at the other. It's tight, it's very tight, but I think it's onside.
I think it's onside, I'm with you, Sam. Just having a look at the replay now, and Undav just times his run. And I think it's Dan Byrne in that left-back position who's keeping him onside. It's a great, lovely through ball. And Undav reads the situation. Just having a little look at it now.
It looks tighter every time you look at it. The referee is checking the possible offside with Jared Gill at the VAR. This could be a massive moment in the seasons of both Brighton and Newcastle United. The crosshair lines being drawn. Is he onside? I think he is, you know. It's the second dart forward, I think. They're just checking it. It's a goal. He's onside, and Brighton are back in the game. And what is that going to do to the atmosphere inside this stadium? Undav scores, it's 2-1, and all of a sudden, Mickey Gray, it's game on.
Oh, totally out of the blue.
Here come Newcastle, steaming forward immediately. Willock onto Almiron, into the box. It's Wilson with a volley just wide. Well, that would have been a response and a half. Joe Willock picked the ball up from the centre and he just ran through the Brighton midfield, straight to the edge of the box, sent it wide to Almiron, and then sent the ball into Wilson, who couldn't hook his shot on target. What a chance.
You know, you're always asked from your coaches and your manager what your reaction's going to be like if you find yourself conceding a goal. And within the space of 7 or 8 seconds, Newcastle are down the other end. Brilliant opportunity, great ball in from Almiron over on this right-hand side. And Callum Wilson, I mean, he's had 2 great chances. One with the header that just went over the top of the bar. Well, that was a huge opportunity.
And the next goal is absolutely massive. Here's Mitoma, full of confidence. Now Brighton coming forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Gilmour picks it up, sends it back towards halfway. There's only a goal in it now. We could have a humdinger of a second half live on Talksport. It's Newcastle 2, Brighton 1. It was all Newcastle in the first half. Brighton barely got a kick, but they've conceded again. Those clean sheets that I mentioned that were harder to come by, proving to be so again tonight. Almiron's made a dart through the middle. Joe Linton didn't trust him. They went down the other side instead. Almiron was the ball, but I think Almiron's missed too many chances tonight. As a result of that, I think they declined to give him the ball there.
Well, I have to say, Sam, you're right, it was the ball, but I'm not actually sure Joe Linton, who was the man who was running with the ball, actually seen the run of Joe Linton. Almiron over in this right-hand side, because they'd all pushed forward. Estupiñán had gone into the opposition's half, and he was in acres of space. If they could have just got his head up and seen that pass. Eventually went for the wrong one, which was Callum Wilson, who again was caught flat-footed.
Well, the Toon Army know that a win takes them to within 3 points of guaranteeing Champions League football. A draw will mean they need to beat Leicester on Monday live on Talksport and win their final game against Chelsea to secure it if Liverpool keep winning. Eddie Howe is looking a little bit more pensive than he had done throughout the most of the match. Newcastle so super dominant in the game. But Brighton are going to make changes as well, attacking ones. as Isak comes down the left-hand side, runs into the box. Jason Steele tries to clear, and he was under pressure from Isak, who slid in. It goes straight into Caicedo. He fumbles the ball, and eventually it goes out into the right fullback position. There's a foul by Wilson. It's going to be a free kick. Ferguson, Enciso and McAllister all coming on. Maybe this is part of the Roberto De Zerbi game plan. Go rope-a-dope for the first 52 minutes, get back into the game, and then bring on the big hitters.
Possibly. He can sense blood, can't he? The way that they've come out in the second half. Look, you want a reaction, don't you? After you were so poor for 45 minutes, well, they've got that reaction and they've clawed their way back into the game. De Zerbi now just wants to freshen things up with the players that they actually should have started the game. Real surprise to me that they weren't in the first 11.
Well, Ferguson, who has been struggling recently with an injury, is just about coming back to full fitness. RZ 0, West Ham 0 is the half-time score. It's Fiorentina who lead in Basel by a goal to 0 in the other semi-final of that competition. That's 2-2. West Ham still ahead on aggregate. That's the key information. That game's on Talksport 2 right now. And, of course, a little bit more technology for you to fumble with on the Talksport app. Is really easy. Just download it, press live matches. You can get Sheffield Wednesdays. Great comeback against Peterborough, possibly. It's 2-0. Lee Gregory got the second goal. It's 4-2 on aggregate. Remember, they were 4-0 down from the first leg. Next goal's crucial in that game as well. So Ferguson, Enciso and Estepinian are on here. And Buonanotte has come off, Welbeck has come off, and who is the other one who come off? I haven't seen another one come off yet. Estepinian about set the thrown on this near side.
Replacing him by 28, Evan Ferguson.
But, well, you know who's come on. Here is McAllister, deep inside his own half. Newcastle win a free kick. A yellow card goes to Pascal Gross, the latest of those to be booked in the game.
Well, those changes, no question about it, Sam. They're going to give them a little bit of life. Brighton got their tails up back into this second half, got themselves back into the game. You can see a little bit of confidence starting to grow into the side.
Remember, there's more live football for you on Talksport and Talksport 2 over the weekend. What a weekend we've got for you as well. On Saturday from the Premier League, Tottenham take on Brentford. That kicks off at the 12:30. We're on air from 11. Then we're doing Manchester United and their game against Bournemouth. That's on Talksport 2. The playoffs continue as well, and on Sunday we're round the grounds on the Sunday session from the Etihad. Mickey and I going to the Etihad to see if Manchester City can win the title.
Third time in a row.
Here is the free kick. Trippier to take it high into the night skies. The back post. Byrne heads it down. It's blocked by Van Heck and then picked up by Moises Caicedo. Sent to the halfway line. Taken in by Trippier, who shoots it forward into the right channel. Chasing it is Almiron. Across comes Estepinian, who goes down under pressure from Almiron. Hardly any pressure, really. And it's going to be a free kick in the corner to Estepinian. It looked a little bit soft. Half-time at Sheffield Wednesday. What's the latest, Alan Biggs?
It's Sheffield Wednesday 2, Peterborough 0. Peterborough lead 4-2 on aggregate, but they're trembling now, along with the stadium, which is absolutely rocking. Michael Smith with an early penalty after Marvin Johnson was tripped. Then Lee Gregory with the second as early as 24 minutes. Posh glad to get to the break. Commentary on the Talksport app. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Peterborough 0, 2-4 on aggregate.
And if you want to get the Talksport app, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is just download it from the Talksport website, or you can follow the links from there, or you can go on your Google Play Store or your Apple Store. And if you do that, you can get the Talksport app and flick through all of the matches that you need. Tonight we've got 3 of them live commentaries, including this one, Newcastle 2, Brighton 1 on Talksport with Now Sports. And don't forget, with Now Sports, you can watch all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle versus Brighton live tonight for $11.99, no contract. Search Now Sports. And Barnsley Bolton tomorrow night, 8 o'clock is on Talksport 2. Stockport Salford 12:30 on Saturday. Here is Undav approaching the penalty area. They still want to be in the equation for a European place, Brighton, and they're going to fight with all their might. Oh, Willock has pulled his hamstring. This is bad news for Newcastle United, because they've already got a midfield problem, a midfield crisis of such, with no long staff. And Willock has just pulled his hamstring. He's just gone ping in the middle of the park. He's put his hand up immediately. He's turned to Eddie Howe. There has to be a substitute, Mickey Gray.
Yeah, just having a look. I mean, he just waved straight to the technical area, didn't he? As he turned towards that Brighton goal.
Elliot Anderson, I think it's going to be, who comes on. Elliot Anderson getting ready to come straight on and replace Joe Willock, who's in some pain. That looked bad. His reaction was really bad. And like every now and again you'll see those where you get those hamstrings that are just a little tear here or there, or you get a little strain and everyone goes, right, stop, before it gets any worse. That one, he looks in some serious pain.
He does. And I've been in that situation, so it's like a pop. You don't expect to come in, and as soon as you feel it, you have to just stop running. You've got to go to ground, and straight away when he waved over, you knew that was it. It was game up for Joe Willock.
It's the worst feeling in the world, that, because you immediately know you can't move at all.
Yeah, it is. It's a horrible feeling.
Oh, it goes all spongy and horrible in the back of your thigh.
But it's all down to the preparation. And look, I mean, he's had a brilliant season, Joe Willock, and he's worked his socks off in this game. You can see the agony he's in there now. I mean,
he's really hobbling off on this near touchline. That is not looking good for Newcastle United. They will hope to get this job done, because he's not going to be able to play any more part in this season, I wouldn't have thought. That is a serious injury. He's got a forlorn look on his face, and he's going to just head down the touchline, I think, and into the treatment area. Elliot Anderson is on for Newcastle United, wearing the number 32 shirt. There's still a bit of a tug-of-war between Scotland and England about his international future, because Scotland keep calling him up, and he says, look, just give me a little bit of space here. I think he wants to play for England. Here's Estepinian on the halfway line. Infield it goes to McAllister. McAllister tries to bend the ball into the left channel, and it goes all the way through to Nick Pope. Tomorrow morning, Laura Woods will be putting her feet up, listening to Alan Brazil and Ray Parlour dissect all this action. A lay in Thursday and Friday for Laura, but Alan Brazil will entertain you. And Ray Parlour and I will go head-to-head in the curse of the commentator at 7:30 tomorrow morning, with a hope that he might drop some points. There's a collision over on the far side. Joe Linton's gone down. He wants a free kick. There was a head-to-head with Van Heck. It was just two players going for a ball. There's no foul there.
An honest challenge.
It's just a collision.
It was.
The referee's got it spot on. Just says, OK, he needs treatment. Let's make sure he's OK, but crack on.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's never nice when two heads collide, but you can see two honest players going to try and win the ball. I think Joe Linton gets there before Van Heck, and because it's Joe Linton on the ground, you can hear the Newcastle supporters across where he's fell to the ground, but he's back on his feet now. Everything's okay, but right decision.
Van Heck gets it back to his goalkeeper, who clips it high into the evening sky. It goes out over on the far side. Half-time in the game in the Conference League semi-finals. RZ 0, West Ham 0. Perfect scoreline for both, they'll feel, at half-time. RZ will have the chance to attack it over on Talksport 2. West Ham will try and see the game out. Talksport 2 is the destination if you want to hear the rest of that commentary. Here it's 2-1 to Newcastle United. Newcastle dominating proceedings in the first 45 minutes. They haven't had everything their own way in the second half. I think that Brighton probably scored with their first opportunity on target, maybe their second, because they had a long-range effort, but just their second attempt on target in the game. And they haven't really had that many attempts at all, really. Newcastle had 15 attempts, 4 on target. Brighton 4 attempts on goal, 2 on target in the game. 63 on the clock, but they're very much in it, aren't they, Mickey?
There's no doubt. They've certainly made a game of this in the second half. The words from De Zerbi at half-time. You've seen how early the side came out. They were waiting for it to get going.
Ferguson flicks it on, big, tall and brawny. Tries to nudge it behind him to Undad. It's away as far as the edge of the centre circle, and Wilson is trying to get away from McAllister. McAllister is wrestling with him. It's a yellow card for McAllister, who's come on as a second-half substitute for being a little bit too handsy, the Argentine. I think he's been brought in just to add a little bit of physicality to that midfield area. He's playing very deep, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Came on for Billy Gilmore in that position, but as that ball was coming out of the sky, he just basically got his first touch completely wrong, which then gave Callum Wilson the opportunity to get his body in front of McAllister, and he was just stronger. McAllister frustrated, probably his first challenge of the game, actually, and finds himself with a yellow card.
Gilmore, Welbeck and Buonanotte replaced by those three newcomers, Enciso, Ferguson and McAllister, after the goal had gone in. Brighton feel there's still something in this for them. A free kick is taken by Trippier, launched into the penalty area. There was a pull back inside the box, was there. The referee is just shaking his head. It comes out to the near side. Almiron's got hold of it, gets it onto his left foot, delivers across towards the far post. Isak with a header! Brilliant save by Jason Steele. Comes back out to Share into the 6-yard box. Burn again, comes off the defender, goes out to the far side. What a stop by Jason Steele from Alexander Isak. It was a terrific save. Here's Joel Linton down the left, trying to get into the penalty area. Caicedo pulls him down, he pulls him back. The referee says free kick Brighton. And the Newcastle fans still appeal over what was a perceived penalty just prior to that brilliant stop from Jason Steele.
Oh, what a spell of play from Newcastle. Piling on the pressure to this back line of Brighton. Great ball in from Almiron from this right-hand side with his left foot. Isak's done everything right. It's a great header. Brilliant save from Steele. And that ball comes back to Dan Burn. Just waiting for him to keep it low, even the header as well, which is cleared off the line, but it's his weaker right foot, Dan Burn. He does everything right. He keeps it low, but Brighton defenders just throwing their bodies on the line to keep the score at 2-1.
Well, it's been some 3 months for Jason Steele, plucked from the bench and replacing Robert Sanchez, and I think he has been worth his weight in gold. He's made a brilliant save from a effort from Newcastle United that may well have kept Brighton in this game. 2-1 the score.
Do you know, when he's been called on tonight, Sam, he's come up trumps Jason Steele. If you think about the goals, he couldn't really do anything with the first one, the deflection, the own goal, and then the Dan Burn header, but other than that, he's been in the right place at the right time.
Sven Botman just seeing the ball out over on the far side. It goes into the area and he just lets it travel behind and go out for a goal kick away to our left. A couple of seagulls fly above our head here as dusk falls. There's still blue sky in the air, a few wispy dark clouds on the horizon, some white fluffy ones above our head. It's nearly 9 o'clock at night, still very light in these parts. Floodlights burning on the lush green playing surface as Pope clears over the halfway line, headed into the air by Caicedo. And out for a throw-in. Another accusation of a strong challenge from Caicedo on Alexander Isak. The referee says play on. No one had a look at any infringement inside the penalty area when the Newcastle fans, just before that chance that they had, were screaming for a tug back by a Brighton defender. Ball is loose on the halfway line, comes back into Fabian Schär, flicks it forward down the left. Wilson a little bit isolated. Just wonder whether or not, after what was a really intense first 45 minutes, Newcastle might just run out of steam as the game goes on, Mickey Gray.
Yeah, it's always possible, isn't it, because you're putting so much into the game. The energy just was sapped out of you, and Brighton have kind of capitalised on that when they've had their opportunity.
Well, they still haven't really tested Nick Pope since the goal. It's been pretty much still Newcastle have been the dominant force in the game, but the chances have been fewer and further between, and actually the domination they showed in that first half has just slackened off a little bit in this second. It's still 2-1 to Newcastle United, live on Talksport with Car Finance 24/7. Search Car Finance 24/7 today. Here is Pascal Gross, halfway line Van Heck. That din, that noise continues to ring around St James's Park. The Brighton fans high up in the Lees' end, cheering their team on as they come forward. A header by Enciso at the near post. His glance toward the far post. After a decent cross from Caicedo, it goes wide of the upright and it's out for a goal kick. Another change. And this is going to be interesting because there's not too many opportunities this season for Adel Afaya, who is the nephew of Martin Afaya, former rugby league great. He's going on, and if genetics have played any part, then he will have some raw speed.
Well, he's got the size as well, hasn't he, Sam? I mean, he looks a unit, and as you mentioned there before, if he's half as quick as Martin, then he's going to be absolutely rapid.
Uncle Martin's got a statue outside Wembley Stadium. It's only his second appearance of the season. He's gone over to right back and he's replaced Pascal Gross. It means Caicedo has now gone into that central midfield position, which is what we've been talking about.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Caicedo, about 30 seconds ago, I think he put his first cross into the box, which was the opportunity for Enciso, but he looks more comfortable when he's in that central midfield position. It suits him more. We talked about that physicality. Well, he certainly brings that to that central midfield area.
Talksport live at St James's Park, 2-1 the score. Is there an opportunity here for Brighton to get back in this game? Because a draw will be big for them. Here is Elliot Anderson trying to get on the end of another Kieran Trippier razor sharp pass down the right side. He whips that ball, doesn't he, with such velocity. If you can get that under control, you're in a great position. He has to hit it with that sort of pace because he needs to get it through the tight gap.
Yeah, no, you're completely right, Sam. It's not one of those balls where you can play down the side of Anderson. He has to make sure that his first touch is right. Look, it's a difficult situation, but Kieran Trippier, he read the situation because there was two Brighton defenders around him, and if he does get his first touch right, then they're in on goal.
It'll be interesting to see how Fire deals with Alexander Isak over on the far side, because Caicedo had some trouble with him. He's got very, very tight to him, a former Bromley lad. He's brought into the Brighton youth system after a spell at Bromley. Pushing the back of Bruno Guimaraes. It's going to be a free kick to Newcastle, just short of the centre circle. How they manage this is going to be important for them going forward. Currently Newcastle 2, Brighton 1. The odds have changed slightly, but it's still Newcastle are the big favourites according to Ladbrokes, where right now you can get Newcastle to win the game at 5-1 on. The draw is 17-4. The Brighton win is now 16-1. It's gone out even further.
That surprises me. As we're just watching Caicedo get back to his feet, he initially gave the foul away on Guimaraes because he stretched a little bit too far, and I think Guimaraes' knee just went into Caicedo's stomach and just got himself winded for a second.
Those odds all thanks to Ladbrokes. Play at ladbrokes.com, 18+, BigGambleAware.org. Newcastle 2, Brighton 1, 72 on the clock. Talksport. Talksport 2 has commentary from the Europa Conference League semi-final, second leg, 2-1 on aggregate to West Ham United, who are hoping to go to Prague against either Basel or Fiorentina. And at the moment that game is finally poised as well.
Sam, I don't think you're on the same page as me, but Kieran Trippier has been absolutely outstanding in this game,
all
on
season,
and off
mate,
the ball.
all season.
He's quality from set pieces. He's football and brain. Defensively, he's on point.
He knows how to use the dark arts every now and again as well. I think he's picked up one or two little things from his spell under Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid. Who wouldn't, eh? Bayer Leverkusen 0, Roma 0 is still the scoreline at half-time in the Europa League. At the moment, Roma heading through to another European final under Jose Mourinho. Sevilla 0, Juventus 0 is the other scoreline. That's finally poised at 1 apiece on aggregate. Fiorentina are leading the other game in the Conference League semi-final, but it's 2-2 on aggregate between them and Basel. Here it's 2-1 to Newcastle United, who are attacking the goal away to our right, but defending at the moment in front of the Leesy's end, because Brighton are coming forward with Matoma up towards McAllister, now onto a Fire, who sends it wide towards the right. He's 2 yards in from the touchline, back to Caicedo in the centre. He then funnels it forward into McAllister, and then Caicedo plays it back towards the halfway line, and it's with Van Heck. He clips the ball forward out towards the left. Mitoma gets something on that, and Miggy Almiron sends it back towards his goalkeeper. Roberto De Zerbi not happy, says that there is still a lack of composure with his team. He wants more calmness amongst them. Ian Hussin is suggesting that maybe treatment needs to be given to Joel Linton, and now the physios are about to come on and deal with him because he's taken his left boot on. We can't afford another injury to the Newcastle midfield, says Jason Tindall to Eddie Howe down in front of us. And those two in tight-knit conversation, knowing that this game can go either way now, knowing that Brighton can get back into it at a stroke, as they did when Undav got them on the scoreboard in the 52nd minute of the game.
Well, since they've come out in the second half, they've certainly been a bigger threat, and the substitutions, I think, have made a big difference to them as well. It's just given them that outlet, certainly on the wide flanks, and with Caicedo going into that midfield area now, it's just given that a little bit more physicality, and they've grown into the game. But they just haven't created enough chances, Sam, to get that second goal, that equalising goal. It still looks like Newcastle on the break look a real threat with Almiron down this right-hand side. Put two wonderful balls into the box, and you still think about the chances that we've seen in the second 45. Newcastle have still probably had the better, with the Isak header, the Callum Wilson chances, the Dan Burn chance with his right foot. So they still need to do more, Brighton, if they're going to get themselves back on level terms.
Joe Linton is back on his feet, and they're not afraid of a stoppage or two, Newcastle United. They've been accused of gamesmanship all season, and that is something that they have used to their advantage, delaying restarts. No one takes longer over restarts than Newcastle. We've seen the table now. Their secret is out of the bag. And Graham Jones has just come out into the technical area, the coach of Newcastle, to have a word with Eddie Howe. Just maybe thinking that the tide may be turning in favour of the opposition. But Isak has got the ball over on the far side. He brushes a fire off the ball, and Ciso goes over and wrestles with him. Since those two have come on, it has been a little bit more quiet over on that left-hand side for Isak and Dan Burn. And it's still 2-1. Look at the space in the middle for Pervis Estepinian, who's ran right through a massive hole and hasn't been picked out. I mean, why on earth no one played him the ball? I'll never know. But Estepinian just escaped his marker, came off the left flank into the middle of the pitch, and there was a huge hole, and if the ball had been dinked in behind, he was through.
And I'll tell you why he didn't play that, because it was Van Heck on the ball, and moments prior, De Zerbi told him not to play a diagonal pass and told him to calm things down. He should have played that long ball there, Sam. He should have took the game into his own hands instead of listening to his manager. You see the picture when you're on the pitch. You don't see exactly what the manager sees, because that was on to play.
That was a ball that needed playing. That was a moment that Estepinian created with his little bit of ingenuity. And he's good at that. Burn wants a free kick, not going to get it. Goes out to the far side. Picked up by Van Heck once again. And Brighton just keeping the ball inside their own half. That composure that we mentioned that De Zerbi was asking for. Brighton now just trying to get a grip on the game. Get their confidence on the ball back. The noises from the Newcastle fans inside this huge stadium, this cavernous stadium. The clearance by Burn hits Evan Ferguson, bounces towards Matoma, but Trippier sees it back to Nick Pope. Ferguson will pressurise him, but it's half-hearted, and Pope will pick it up and bowl it into the path of Sven Botman, who will try and build from the back. Newcastle 2, Brighton 1 on Talksport. On Talksport 2, the second half of the Europa Conference League final has restarted. RZ 0, West Ham 0, and on the app it's Sheffield Wednesday 2, Peterborough 0, 4-2 to Posh on aggregate. But nervy moments for them and excitable moments at Hillsborough. Hope maybe at Hillsborough for Darren Moore and his team. The playoffs never fail to deliver, and we've got all three finals live on Talksport and Talksport 2 over next weekend. Not the weekend coming, the weekend after that will be camped at Wembley for the whole weekend. A couple of the coaching staff for Brighton just pointing out to Rob Jones that Newcastle taking a lot of time over restarts now as Isak gets hold of the ball, plays it into Burn, charges into the box. Isak wasn't backing him up with any real purpose, and as a result of that, a fire was able to clear. And now it's 3-on-4 in Brighton's favour, and Ferguson, if he can switch the ball to the right-hand side, can squeeze it out to Undab, but he played it behind Mitoma, and then Newcastle were able to clear up to the halfway line. In by Estepinian, away by Bruno Guimaraes, picked up by McAllister, worked wide to the right, Enciso, infield, Anderson picks it up, and then a crunching tackle by Dunk, nudges the ball away from Wilson, and then a half-hearted pull from Mitoma hands possession back to Newcastle United, and you don't want to do that with 11 minutes to go, Mickey Gray.
Well, they've just given Newcastle a breather that they needed. It's Brighton now, we're on the front foot, but the problem I'm seeing, Sam, with them is it's one pass too many. Instead of just playing that ball in behind when they've got willing runners who are trying to get in behind the centre-halves and in between full-backs, Evan Ferguson being one of them. Look, he's came into this game in the second half. I want to see more from him. He's quick, his hold-up play is very good. He's certainly got an eye for goal, but they're not using him. He's having to come deep to get involved in the game, where you need him playing against the two centre-halves to Newcastle. He'll cause more of a threat there.
Botman on halfway, lofts it high into the evening sky. It bounces once and Dunk manages to bring it under control in the left full-back position, guide it back to the goalkeeper Jason Steele. He'll play it with his feet right outside the penalty area. There's a bit of showboating, rolls his studs under the ball. There's no pressure now from Newcastle. Their press was so high and aggressive in the first half. They've dropped off that press in the second half. Good turn though by Elliot Anderson. He's taken out by Van Heck. Referee says play on because Newcastle have got the ball. They steer it to Isaac inside the area left side. He gets to the edge of the box. He rolls it back to Anderson. The shot comes in from Guimaraes. It's over the top of the crossbar and Van Heck is going to get a yellow card.
Yeah, he has to get a yellow card. I think he knew that straight away. Fair play to Rob Jones, the referee, just to let that game carry on there. When they work it out, I don't know who it was. I think it was Kieran Trippier who was actually waiting at the edge of the 18-yard area. It might have been Anderson, actually, as that ball got played across. Guimaraes just came in and just basically took the ball away from him, when I thought the player was in such a better position to take that shot on.
Anderson was a step back from Bruno Guimaraes and had the ability just to open his body up a little bit better and strike across the ball, whereas Guimaraes was always stretching.
He was
for
rushing.
it.
Absolutely.
And he steered it over the top of the crossbar. As a result of that, it remains 2-1 to Newcastle. There's a bit of tension in the air at St James's Park. The supporters doing their best to alleviate that with a noise, but Brighton have just got a smidgen better as the game has gone on. They've not been at their best, there's no doubt about it. This is a completely different performance to the one we saw at Arsenal, but they've got stronger in the second half. But can they fashion an opportunity to come with their little bit of extra dominance in possession? They've won a free kick 15 yards from the edge of the penalty area, with Enciso trying to get beyond Bruno Guimaraes. He brings down Enciso, and it's going to be a McAllister free kick, and that's a warning for Newcastle United.
Well, this is a chance. It's in a position where Alexis McAllister's going to have to whip that ball into an area with a lot of pace. He's got to try and get it above these tall centre-halves of Newcastle, but if you've got the right quality, well, they just played it wide.
And then it's a poor ball into Enciso, who then tries to take on Isaac, and then he dislodges the ball from Enciso's feet, gives it to Almiron. He's then fouled by Enciso, and what a waste of a free kick that was from Brighton and Hove Albion. 10 yards outside, 15 yards outside the box. They had the ball and then decided to give it straight back almost. Almiron involved with Enciso. It's a bit of a South American, in fact that's an all Paraguayan clash, aren't they, compatriots? Almiron and Enciso. Almiron, who would be the senior of the two. Enciso, who's only 19 years of age. Almiron, 10 years his senior, is being told by Kieran Trippier in no uncertain terms. He's dragged him away, patted him on the head and said, now shut up and get away from the situation.
Well, I mean, I don't think it really took too much to separate those two, did it? Let's be honest with you, but Almiron just a little bit frustrated. You can see him coming over basically in front of where we are right now doing this commentary from, but it's silly because the game doesn't need that.
Enciso just to put his left hand in the face of Almiron. They'll make up on international duty, I think.
Sure he will.
Yeah. Both have been, well, obviously Almiron's been capped a number of times, but I think he's got 9 caps already, hasn't he, Enciso, at the age of 19. Unbelievable. Ball is on the edge of the penalty area at the other end. Now, Almiron was being held there by Estepinian. He's turned and ran at him, and the Ecuadorian has got in front of him this time and taken the ball towards the left full-back position. Almiron's going to try and stand his ground here. It's played away. Trippier on the press, but Undab has won it with his body and then clipped it into the air. Not a good idea to do against Enciso when Dan Burn is his direct opponent. But Afire has picked up the loose ball and he's running to the halfway line. He plays it infield. It's good running by him. It's switched towards the near side. Estepinian chests it down. He's tackled by Almiron. He gives away the foul. Roberto De Zerbi wants to get it moving again. And Robert Jones is being told by the Newcastle crowd that they think that's a little bit soft.
Talk about winning a free kick for your side, because that's exactly what Estepinan's just done for his side there. There was a little bit of contact for Almiron, but he just lost his balance, went to ground. which has given Brighton the opportunity to make, I think, the final substitution, Sam, if I'm right.
This is Cameron Poupion, who is an Australian midfielder who made his debut in the League Cup against Forest Green back in August. That's his last appearance. But he's on now for the final 6 minutes of this game as Brighton throw everything at Newcastle United. Newcastle adept at game management. They were 2-0 up and cruising in this game. It's 2-1 going into the final stages, live on Talksport. So big this for Newcastle in terms of their Champions League future. They'll still need to win their final 2 games to guarantee a top 4 place if they drop points here tonight. If they win, they're just 3 points away from securing a Champions League berth. Brighton have still got to play Manchester City. And they've got other games that are slightly more winnable. Southampton at home on the weekend on Sunday, and Villa away on the final day of the season should be enough to secure a place in at least the Conference League. But they want a place in the Europa League itself. Getting a point here from these circumstances would certainly help them do that. Ferguson goes wide on the right-hand side. Intervening was Dan Burn, up to the halfway line. Isak takes it on. He powers down the left side. Thinks he's won a throw-in. It's gone against him. And the crowd don't like that either. At least the crowd are playing their part tonight. They're like the extra man, aren't they? They're taking their cue from Jason Tyndall, I think.
I think they are. Yeah, definitely wanted to throw into the home side there. A little bit frustrated. Sam, I've got to say, Evan Ferguson, they've got to get him involved in the game more. Go back to that free kick that they played wide. Great opportunity to put the ball in the box. We know he's a threat in the air. You've got to give him the opportunity in the service.
Eddie Howe's black and white army is the cry from inside the sellout St James's Park. The Gallagate roars. 4 minutes to go. There is tension. There is nerves. They know they can see this out. Then all of a sudden they can almost touch the Champions League. But here's Estepinian for Brighton, down the left-hand side into the area, smuggled behind by Kieran Trippier. It's out for a corner to Brighton and Hove Albion. And that will just ratchet up the pressure levels inside this stadium.
Do not let your centre-halves down. They came all the way up into the 18-yard box, put that ball in the area and give them the chance.
Well, it's not McAllister this time. It's Purvis Estepinian who's going to take the corner kick on this near side in front of the Leesy's end. And it's aimed in towards the near post, and it's a header up there by Poupion. It comes back out towards this near side and back in again. There's a player on the floor, but it's hit by Caicedo anyway, and it ricochets to halfway. I think that's Van Heck who's down. I think he's got cramp, you know. They're playing on inside the Newcastle half. Estepinian coming forward. 87 minutes on the clock. Van Heck can hardly work. His aching, rusty limbs. He hasn't played too much football this season. Brighton, who are down to the bare bones because of the injuries, have had to use a lot of fringe players tonight. And Ciso into the box. It's caught at the near post by Pope. Yeah, we mentioned before the game about Webster being injured, Colwell being injured, not being available today. They're not the only ones. Brighton have lost players over the course of the last few weeks, as have Newcastle even tonight, as the long, ambling season comes to its conclusion and it starts to take its toll. And Newcastle hope they can get over the line, Mickey.
Well, it certainly looks like they're going to do that this evening. It's now or never for Brighton. Into the final 3 minutes of the 90 that we've got, and they've got to just try and get that ball and work and open it if they possibly can. They've been few and far between for Brighton this evening.
Brighton have had to dip into their youth ranks to bring players on the journey that they hope is going to take them to the European stages for the first time. They've never been able to perform on a continental level before. They want that chance. They might need a point from this game to do it. Manchester City next Wednesday night is going to be a tough one. And that Villa game would become all important at the end of the season if they don't get all 3 points here. They must win on Sunday against Southampton as well. Won by Trippier in the right fullback position. Caicedo tries to get on Almiron, but he's beaten him and he's fed Wilson. And this is a massive chance because he's in behind. He's one-on-one with Steele. No danger, he was going to miss that. Newcastle are going to win 3-1 at St James's Park. the Champions League comes ever closer. And Callum Wilson is the angel of the North. What a second half to the season he's had. And there was no danger that the game changer was going to miss once he was released by Miguel Almiron. It's 3-1 to Newcastle United on what seems a pivotal night in the race for the Champions League.
Well, Sam, I think this might be checked. I've got to be completely honest with you, but it does look like he's onside to me. I think this goal will stand. And this goal, it started in the right-back position with Kieran Trippier winning the ball back for his side, playing a wonderful ball to Miguel Almiron just before halfway, who was an outstanding, amazing run. And to see that run from Callum Wilson, and it was that man who's just had Cramp Van Heck, who actually plays on Callum Wilson. He tries to step up and does it too late. We'll take nothing away from Callum Wilson. What a finish. 18 Premier League goals this season. Absolutely fantastic. Listen to this place.
Oh, he's had some time. He has had some time, and he's through again here, trying to get the better of Dunk. He's in the area down the left side. Dunk's on his backside. He's set up Bruno Guimaraes! It's 4-1! St James's Park explodes with emotion. Bruno Guimaraes has scored the 4th goal on the night. 8 minutes have been added on at the end of this encounter between European chasers Newcastle and Brighton. But there's no panic now. 2 killer goals in 2 minutes, right at the end of this encounter, have sealed the deal for Eddie Howe's men. And they're now just 3 points away from securing a place in the top 4. It's a brilliant, brilliant bit of hold-up play by Callum Wilson, who ran in down the left-hand side, sat Lewis Dunk on his backside, turned, held it up, waited for the arrival of Guimaraes. He rolled it into him, and he smashed it home in front of the Gallagate, who gleefully welcomed the latest Newcastle United goal with noise that takes the roof off St James's Park.
Well, it's just simply sensational from Newcastle. And listen to this crowd. There's not many places you go in the country and you hear an atmosphere like that, but they just give them 30 seconds of brilliance and they've won this game. And we talk about the points, Sam. Look at that goal difference now for Newcastle over Liverpool. It is absolutely massive. There's an extra point for them tonight.
You're absolutely right. They can afford now probably to draw 2 games, although it's only 7 goals. And if I'm not mistaken, Liverpool have got some... Liverpool got on the final day of the season. Is it Southampton? Yeah, they got Southampton on the final day of the season. So I think that's probably likely to be a fixture that they could win by quite a few goals.
Yeah, look, you're probably right. But all Newcastle can do...
They play on Monday night against Leicester City now, knowing that if they win that game, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. It's in their hands.
Bad news for Leicester City, by the way, at the bottom of the table, because, you know, they're really struggling for points. And to be in a situation where they've got to come here on a Monday night, they hate Mondays anyway, to come here on Monday night, live on Talksport, and have to stop Newcastle from winning, because Newcastle, if they get 3 points to go into the Champions League, imagine what the noise is going to be like then. Oh, they've got it again, and Wilson's stolen the ball from the set piece, and he's striking it towards Jason Steele, and he runs and plays it straight into the arms of the goalkeeper, and the analyst from Brighton in front of us, is in the desk in front of us, is punching the table. So if Newcastle have got any damage investigation that they need to do later, it's him. It's not us. He's kicking the table, he's thumping the desk in front of him. They're quite small, these desks, and pretty rickety. They've been around for a while. Don't know if that one's going to last much longer.
Sam, just looking at goal difference and how important it can be, and thinking about the season that Brighton have had, in the last 3 games, they've lost 5-1 to Everton, and they're getting a thumping 4-1 at St James's Park. That's not European form.
That significantly affects it. And I think that we should mitigate it by talking about those players that have been missing and the injuries that they've picked up, because it has had a major impact on what's happened to Brighton. The consistency isn't there. They are making a change now, Newcastle. Joe Linton is coming off. Kieran Trippier is coming off for Javi Manquillo. He's just rubbing the back of his hamstring, Kieran Trippier. He won't want that to scupper his chances of playing on Monday night when they look to try and secure a place in the Champions League live on Talksport. Join us for game night from 6 o'clock on Monday night. It could be Eddie Howe's crowning glory.
Yeah, you hope Kieran Trippier is okay. I just moments earlier, I seen him come across to have a word with Jason Tinsdale and Eddie Howe, just to say, look, I'm feeling my hamstring a little bit. If we're going to win this game, take me off as precaution.
Eddie Howe, who's still stony-faced inside the 18-yard box, has brought on Anthony Gordon as well, who's chasing away to our right-hand side, into the air by Guimaraes. How many minutes have we played now? We've played 6 of the added 8 minutes, and there's still a couple still to go. Rob Jones is looking at his watch and not necessarily sure that he's going to be merciful to Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton, who were, I think, really outplayed in the first half. Second half was a lot more even, and there was tension in the air, but ultimately 4-1 probably gives you a fairer reflection of how the first half went, really, because they were so far on top. They smothered them with a high aggressive press. They didn't take all their chances. Miggy Almiron missed the chance in the second half. Isaac and Wilson did miss chances before taking them right at the very end, and those goals from Wilson and Guimaraes have given Newcastle the added comfort. Here is Fabian Schär from the right fullback position clearing. It takes a deflection, goes out. It's going to be a Newcastle throw, and they'll waste more precious time, Mickey Gray.
But I also have to add to that, Simon, I said a little bit earlier, I think the better chances have come from the home side. Yeah. It looks convincing now, but at the time we were saying Brighton were growing into the game, but apart from the goal, there hasn't really been that threat in behind to maybe get themselves back on level terms. It was always Newcastle who still looked a threat, albeit their tempo had died a little bit in the second half, but they just kept some energy in the tank. Those 2 goals.
Basel have gone level in the second leg of the Europa Conference League semi-final. They lead 3-2 on aggregate. They will be the prospective opponents for West Ham, who are still drawing 0-0 in their game over on Talksport 2. We'll bring you the conclusion of that very shortly. Sheffield Wednesday still leading 2-0 against Peterborough on the Talksport app. Here it's 4-1 to Newcastle, and Newcastle about to be a top 16 for only the second time in 10 matches this season. Here's Saint-Maximin down the left-hand side, getting into the penalty area, guiding it back to Guimaraes, whose heavy touch doesn't allow him to get a shot away. He's now got a calf problem. He's gone down holding the back of his calf, and Brighton are coming forward with Enciso, running up towards the edge of the penalty area. And Manquillo's come on as a substitute. He's trying to block him off. It goes into Evan Ferguson, back to Enciso, a chance to strike it down to the goalkeeper's right. Doesn't catch it at all well, and it dribbles behind and away for a goal kick. And we've now played the 7.5 minutes of the 8 that need to be added. Guimaraes gets back to his feet, and he turns round to the Gala gate, and he orchestrates a cry of Bruno, Bruno, away to our right-hand side, because now the pressure actually starts to fall not on maybe even Liverpool, but more Manchester United and their game at the weekend, which is live on Talksport 2 this Saturday afternoon. Tune into that. We've got it live. Bournemouth against Manchester United with Nigel Adderley and Perry Groves. Download our app, you can access that, or ask your smart speaker to play Talksport 2.
You try and call that top 4.
Well, I can tell you this. Newcastle United are 1 win away from securing a place in the Champions League for the first time in 20 years. It's so close now that the Toon Army can almost touch it. Only a collapse of epic proportions will stop them from fulfilling a dream. Victory over Brighton was emphatic in the end. It means that they move on to 69 points and that any Liverpool slip on Saturday will be fatal. It's Newcastle's for the taking. They just have to reach out and grab it. What a job Eddie Howe has done. This time last year they were securing a place in the top flight. Now they are thinking about playing Real Madrid, Napoli and PSG. It's the main event for the greatest teams, and Newcastle can hear the first few bars of the Champions League theme. They've beaten Brighton by 4-1.
There's a sign in the southwest corner. It's a quote from Eddie Howe. It says, "We aren't here to be popular, we're here to compete." And it sums Newcastle up. They fought and fought from minute one, and they got their just desserts. The players have fallen in love with this place, and you can understand it. This is the place where magic happens, where the city converges and pours its soul into its football team. This is Eddie Howe's black and white army, and they are marching towards the Champions League for the first time in 20 years. Absolutely brilliant. Newcastle have beaten Brighton and Hove Albion by 4-1. We'll react to this in a moment.